Chapter 2648. Lord City Governor, if that's the case, won't Duan Ling Tian be in danger? Old Hong gasped when he heard Lu Fenggu's words. A hint of dread could be seen on his face as he said, Lord City Governor, why don't you use a communication celestial talisman to inform him about this? If he receives your message, he'll be able to prepare himself and think of a way to deal with the threat from Zhou Tong. Old Hong said, Old Hong. Lu Fenggu sighed when he heard Old Hong's words. I've thought about this as well. However, do you think my communication celestial talisman will reach the county city? Unless I have a communication celestial talisman inscribed by a great overarching golden celestial or stronger, the chances of it reaching the county city are slim, let alone entering the county governor's estate and reaching Duan Lington. A communication celestial talisman was a communication celestial talisman. Immortal message talismans were also divided into different grades. The higher the cultivation level of the immortal message talisman, the faster the transmission speed. Moreover, it could prevent others from intercepting the transmission of the immortal message talisman. For example, Lu Fenggu was a great overarching golden celestial talisman. Lu Fenggu was an indigo sun golden celestial. Although he had communication celestial talismans, they were all inscribed by him. Any communication celestial talisman he inscribed could be intercepted by an indigo sun golden celestial or stronger. The distance between Bloody Spectre City and the county city of 9 Spectres County was huge. His immortal message talisman would most likely be intercepted halfway. It was unlikely that it would reach the county city of 9 Spectres County and the county governor's residence. For a communication celestial talisman to successfully transmit a message from Bloody Spectre City to the county city of 9 Spectres County, it had to be inscribed by a great overarching golden celestial. This was because only a great overarching golden celestial or stronger could intercept a communication celestial talisman inscribed by a great overarching golden celestial. For example, after Zhou Fei's limbs were severed by Duan Ling Tian, the communication celestial talisman he used to send a message to his foster father, Zhou Tong, was personally inscribed by his foster father, a yellow-rank great overarching golden celestial. Moreover, even if I have a communication celestial talisman inscribed by a great overarching golden celestial, do you think Zhou Tong would still ask me to use a communication celestial talisman to contact Duan Ling Tian since he already knows about Duan Ling Tian's background? I'm almost certain that even if either of us went to the county city of 9 Spectres County or the county governor's estate, we wouldn't be able to see Duan Ling Tian. At this point, Lu Fenggu paused for a moment before continuing. Therefore, we can't help Duan Ling Tian in any way. He can only rely on himself. Lu Fenggu said. Upon hearing Lu Fenggu's words, Elder Hong fell silent. After giving it some thought, Lu Fenggu's words made sense. After Elder Hong left, Lu Fenggu's tense expression finally relaxed. He let out a long sigh as he said, Duan Lingnan, I hope you'll be able to escape this calamity. Otherwise, I'm afraid I won't have a chance to seek revenge from Zhou Tong. Lu Fenggu could imagine what would happen if Zhou Tong was killed. If something happened to Duan Ling Tian, Zhou Tong would definitely not let him off. After all, Zhou Tong did not want another Duan Ling Tian to appear. In the past, Zhou Tong did not feel threatened by Lu Fenggu. Out of respect for the county governor of 9 Spectres County, Zhou Tong could not be bothered to make things difficult for Lu Fenggu. However, Duan Ling Tian had appeared in Bloody Spectre City this time. Moreover, before Duan Ling Tian went to the county governor's estate, Zhou Tong had treated Duan Ling Tian so well and provided him with the best cultivation environment and resources. As long as Zhou Tong was not an idiot, he would definitely feel threatened by Lu Fenggu. Once Zhou Tong dealt with Duan Ling Tian, there was no way he would allow Duan Ling Tian to continue living in Bloody Spectre City to prevent another threat like Duan Ling Tian. At this moment, Lu Fenggu was almost certain. If something happened to Duan Ling Tian, Lu Fenggu would definitely die. Lord City Governor. The leader of the Golden Serpent Guards, Elder Hong, had returned and said to Lu Fenggu, Elder Hong. He said to Lu Fenggu, a year ago, we received news from the county governor's estate that King Qin's mansion will be holding the martial competition of the 16 counties. The county behind the top 3 participants will be able to obtain the mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill. Because of this, Lord County Governor didn't make things difficult for Duan Lingtian even though he violated the rules set by Lord County Governor. Instead, Lord County Governor even ordered Elder Zheng Qiu to take the blame for Duan Lingtian to protect Duan Lingtian. Based on this, it's clear that Lord County Governor values Duan Lingtian a lot and has placed all his hopes on Duan Lingtian to obtain the mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill. You and I both know that Lord County Governor's cultivation base has reached a bottleneck many years ago and hasn't improved since then. Therefore, he's determined to obtain the great overarching pill this time. Under such circumstances, for the sake of the great overarching pill and the martial competition of the 16 counties, he'll definitely protect Duan Lingtian. Elder Hong paused for a moment before he continued. Lord City Governor, why don't you tell Lord County Governor everything you know about Duan Lingtian? Let Lord County Governor protect Duan Lingtian so that Duan Lingtian won't be harmed by Zhou Tong. Elder Hong finished his sentence in one breath. I've thought about this as well. Lu Fenggu sighed and said, however, you're oversimplifying things. Let's not talk about whether Zhou Tong will allow us to contact Lord County Governor. Even if we manage to contact Lord County Governor, do you think he won't become a second Zhou Tong? After all, the temptation of a heaven-grade celestial method and divine ability is greater than the mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill. Lu Fenggu said. Upon hearing Lu Fenggu's words, Elder Hong could not help but smile bitterly. My thoughts aren't as thorough as yours, Lord City Governor. I should have thought of this earlier. It's impossible that you haven't thought of the idea of Lord County Governor protecting Duan Lingtian. It seems like we can only rely on Duan Lingtian this time. Elder Hong sighed when he reached the end of his sentence. Duan Lingtian was unaware of what was happening in Bloody Spectre City. At this moment, he was still in closed-door cultivation. Ever since Duan Lingtian obtained the bottle of primitive celestial pills, the hidden spirit pills, from the county governor of 9 Spectres County, he had been immersed in his cultivation. Even after he had a breakthrough, he continued to cultivate in order to break through to the next level. Apart from that, he continued to absorb the hidden spirit pill, the primitive celestial pill, into his body. He had completely lost track of time as he cultivated. Although he had encountered some bottlenecks in his cultivation and his cultivation speed had slowed down, he did not stop cultivating. He continued to circulate the yellow-grade cultivation method, the secret crystal clearance technique. His celestial origin energy worked with the hidden spirit pill and the spirit containment pill as he continued to circulate the energy in his body. Naturally, during this process, Duan Lingtian's cultivation environment and the prominent celestial stones in his possession played a huge role as well. There's only one hidden spirit pill left. I hope the last hidden spirit pill will be able to help me break through the bottleneck and break through to the next level. In the stone chamber in the deepest part of the latent dragon abyss, Duan Lingtian raised his hand and brought the last primitive celestial pill, the hidden spirit pill, into his hand. Then he popped it into his mouth and swallowed it. A rich medicinal energy flowed down his throat and spread to his entire body in just a blink of an eye. Spirit hardening pill. Following that, Duan Lingtian consumed another primitive celestial pill, the spirit hardening pill. Coincidentally, there's not much medicinal energy left in the previous spirit hardening pill. Now that I've consumed another spirit hardening pill, I'll try to break through this bottleneck in one go. After consuming the medicinal pill, Duan Lingtian concentrated his mind and calmed his qi before once again immersing himself in cultivation. Only the thought of cultivation remained in his mind, and his mind was completely devoid of distracting thoughts. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was still unaware that someone in the latent dragon abyss was waiting for him in the latent dragon abyss. In the county governor's manor, there was someone waiting for him to come out of seclusion. Furthermore, the person was very patient and had been waiting for several months. Damn it! That Duan Lingtian still hasn't come out of his closed-door cultivation. He's only a heavenly celestial. No matter how good the cultivation environment is, no matter how many cultivation resources he has, He should have encountered a bottleneck and come out for a breather, right? It's been almost a year and a half, but he still hasn't come out of his closed-door cultivation. In the second last cultivation room in the latent dragon abyss, Zhou Fei, who had just returned from outside, had a grave expression on his face. It had been a few months since he and his godfather, Zhou Tong, had returned from Bloody Spectre City. During these few months, they had been waiting for Duan Lingtian to come out of his closed-door cultivation. After all, they could not directly attack Duan Lingtian in the latent dragon abyss. If they did, the county governor of 9 Spectres County would be alerted. At that time, they might not even be able to snatch the celestial methods and divine abilities from Duan Lingtian. As the saying went, the older the ginger, the spicier it was. Zhou Tong had been waiting patiently for Duan Lingtian to come out of his closed-door cultivation. Zhou Fei, on the other hand, was gradually losing his patience after waiting for a few months. However, he could only wait patiently. Every once in a while, he would come out of his room to check if there were any movements in the room below. 2 months later. Boom! Rumble! All of a sudden, a series of loud noises rang in the deepest part of the latent dragon abyss. It was as though an earth-shattering explosion had occurred. Even the stone room at the top that was closest to the latent dragon abyss trembled slightly. Naturally, the tremors were only limited to the stone room. The stone rooms above the latent dragon abyss did not tremble at all. After all, the latent dragon abyss was built under the supervision of the county governor of 9 Spectres County. This tremor, it's coming from Duan Lingtian's stone room. In the second last stone room in the latent dragon abyss, Zhou Fei, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly opened his eyes with an excited expression on his face. Chapter 2649. There were a total of 30 stone rooms in the latent dragon abyss. The deeper the room was, the better the cultivation environment was. The cultivation environment in the deepest room was comparable to the cultivation place of the county governor and the number 1 revered elder of 9 Spectres County. At this moment, the celestial origin energy in the deepest room of the latent dragon abyss was turbulent. His celestial elemental power rushed in all directions like a runaway wild horse. It wreaked havoc in the entire stone room. It slammed against the walls of the stone room and issued waves of muffled sounds. This sound was like the sound of a drum, deafening to the ears. The source of the turbulent celestial origin energy was none other than the purple-clad young man sitting on the stone bed in the room. It was none other than Duan Lingtian, who had been in closed-door cultivation for 1.5 years. Ever since Duan Lingtian left Zhengqiu's courtyard and returned to the stone room in the latent dragon abyss 1.5 years ago, he had not left his room at all. He had been fully immersed in his cultivation. With the attitude of a daredevil, he was trying his best to increase his cultivation base. As the saying went, heaven rewards those who persevere. After 1.5 years, Duan Lingtian finally made his second breakthrough and became a yellow sun-golden celestial. So this is the celestial origin energy of a yellow sun-golden celestial? The celestial origin energy in the stone chamber surged out of Duan Lingtian's body and hit the walls of the stone chamber. Naturally, the celestial origin energy was not as simple as the celestial origin energy of a yellow sun-golden celestial. However, the celestial origin energy that's surging out of my body is incomparable to the celestial origin energy of an ordinary yellow sun-golden celestial. With the help of the 99 heavenly veins in my body, my celestial origin energy has increased by 2 levels. It's comparable to an ordinary blue sun-golden celestial. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Bush, 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 bush. After a while, the sound of wind whistling in the air rang in the air. With just a thought, Duan Lingtian withdrew his celestial origin energy. After Duan Lingtian withdrew his celestial origin energy, Duan Lingtian's figure gradually became visible. Duan Lingtian abruptly opened his eyes. His eyes flashed with a dazzling light, as if they could illuminate the entire world. Fortunately, I managed to break through and become a yellow sun-golden celestial with the help of the last hidden spirit pill. I wonder how long I've been cultivating in seclusion this time. However, it should be less than 2.5 years. Duan Lingtian didn't know how long he had been in seclusion. However, he was certain of one thing. This time, he should be in seclusion for a little more than 2 years, less than 2.5 years. 2.5 years later, King Qin's mansion would hold the martial competition of the 16 counties. Even the county governor of 9 Spectres County would not allow him to cultivate in seclusion for such a long time, let alone the others. After all, the county governor of 9 Spectres County was counting on him to obtain the mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill. Now that I've run out of hidden spirit pills, my cultivation speed won't be fast even if I continue to cultivate. I should wait for more hidden spirit pills or other primitive celestial pills that can coexist with the spirit-nourishing pill before I continue to cultivate. Duan Lingtian, who had experienced consuming the hidden spirit pill and the spirit-nourishing pill at the same time, did not want to consume only the spirit-nourishing pill for the time being. After all, it would be much slower than consuming both hidden spirit pills and spirit-nourishing pills at the same time. Unless there was no other way, Duan Lingtian did not want to consume only the spirit-nourishing pills to cultivate. I haven't gone out for a walk since I've been in the county city for so long. I should go out for a walk and relax. With this thought in mind, Duan Lingtian got off the stone bed and left the stone cultivation room. As soon as Duan Lingtian left the stone cultivation room, he felt someone's gaze on him. Zhou Fei. When he raised his head to look at the person who was looking at him, he discovered it was none other than Zhou Fei, the adopted son of Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's estate. Zhou Fei was also the person who had his limbs severed and severely injured by him. Duan Lingtian could sense the hatred in Zhou Fei's eyes when he looked at him. However, he was not bothered by it. After all, he was the one who severed Zhou Fei's limbs. It would be strange if Zhou Fei did not hate him. It was not difficult for Duan Lingtian to figure out why Zhou Fei had left the stone cultivation room. Although the commotion that I created earlier was not very big, Zhou Fei's current training stone room is coincidentally above mine. It is likely that he will be able to detect the commotion within my training stone room. Duan Lingtian withdrew his gaze from Zhou Fei and flew up into the air. He did not even look at Zhou Fei throughout the entire process. Duan Lingtian. Zhou Fei was, naturally, enraged when he saw how Duan Lingtian had disregarded him. He gritted his teeth in anger. However, he could only roar inwardly, "You can continue being smug. I'd like to see how long you can be smug for. It's Duan Lingnan. Duan Lingtian has come out of closed-door cultivation? It seems like I haven't seen him for a long time. It's been a year and a half, right?" When Duan Lingtian rose into the air and made his way out of the latent dragon abyss, those who had just walked out of their stone chambers or had just returned could not help but discuss among themselves. Duan Lingtian. A familiar voice rang in the air when Duan Lingtian was about to leave the latent dragon abyss. Qinyu? When Duan Lingtian turned around, he saw Qinyu, the former captain of the Black Dragon Army, who had come with him from Bloody Spectre City, walking out of the third-last stone cultivation room in the latent dragon abyss. Qinyu was flying toward him. In the blink of an eye, Qinyu had arrived in front of Duan Lingtian. Now that they were so close, Duan Lingtian could clearly feel the change in Qinyu's aura. He could not help but feel a little surprised. "Qinyu, you have a breakthrough?" "Yes." Qinyu nodded with a smile. "If I hadn't broken through, how could I have occupied the stone cultivation room that was second only to yours and Zhou Fei's? I was also surprised when I saw you come out of that stone cultivation room." Duan Lingtian sighed. In the past, he knew that Qinyu was talented and was surprised that Qinyu had obtained one of the only 2 spots to enter the 9 Spectres County. However, he did not expect Qinyu's talent and strength to be so extraordinary. The fact that Qinyu was able to occupy the third-last stone room in the Hidden Dragon Abyss meant that Qinyu's strength was second only to him and Zhou Fei. There's nothing to be surprised about. Compared to you, I'm still lacking. Qinyu laughed self-mockingly. 2 people from Bloody Spectre City came, and they're ranked in the top 3 among the 30 golden celestials under the age of 100 in the county governor's office. I'm sure Governor Lu will be happy to know about this. Duan Lingtian changed the topic with a smile. Lord City Lord must already know that you, Duan Lingtian, have become the strongest person in the latent dragon abyss. As for me, I only managed to obtain the stone cultivation room a few months ago. I'm afraid it'll take some time for this matter to reach City Lord's ears. Qin Yu said. Duan Lingtian. Suddenly, Qin Yu's eyes widened as he looked at Duan Lingtian and asked, I can feel that your aura has changed quite a lot. You've been in closed-door cultivation for 1.5 years. I'm sure you've gained quite a lot, right? A year and a half? You know when I started closed-door cultivation? Duan Lingtian was slightly taken aback. I don't know when you started closed-door cultivation, but I heard the same thing from a few people. Qin Yu said. A year and a half? Upon hearing Qin Yu's words, Duan Lingtian was certain. It seems like I've indeed spent a year and a half cultivating in closed-door cultivation. In just a year and a half, I managed to break through from a scarlet sun-golden celestial to a yellow sun-golden celestial. That's a leap of 2 cultivation levels. With such a cultivation speed, it's barely passable in the spirit overarching heaven, right? Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Qin Yu was unaware of Duan Lingtian's thoughts. Otherwise, Qin Yu would have rolled his eyes at Duan Lingtian. Even the most talented Scarlet Sun Golden Celestial in a high-rank celestial kingdom would take much longer than Duan Lingtian to break through to the Yellow Sun Golden Celestial if he had a better cultivation environment, cultivation resources, and cultivation methods than Duan Lingtian. The reason Duan Lingtian took such a short time to cultivate was due to his 99 heavenly veins. Naturally, if he only had 99 heavenly veins, his cultivation speed would not have been so fast. After he had ascended to the spirit overarching heaven and became a heavenly celestial, he had heeded Ko'er's third uncle, Xia Jie's, advice and used the energy in the celestial ascension pool to temper his 99 heavenly veins. That was how he built his foundation. Because of this, with only the 99 veins of heaven in his body that had been tempered thousands of times, his cultivation speed had reached an unheard-of level. Otherwise, how could a Scarlet Moon heavenly celestial who had just ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago become a Yellow Sun Golden Celestial in just 2.5 years? How could a Scarlet Moon heavenly celestial become a Yellow Sun Golden Celestial in just 2.5 years? Apart from the powerful forces in the Devata realms who used prominent celestial pills or higher to forcefully raise their juniors' cultivation bases, there was no other way. In the history of the spirit overarching heaven, no one had ever been able to consume a primitive celestial pill to cultivate. It was not only in the spirit overarching heaven. Even in the history of the 81 Devata realms, there were only a handful of people who were capable of this feat naturally. Duan Lingtian was unaware of this. Duan Lingtian, where do you plan to go? Qin Yu asked. I've been in the county city for so long, but I haven't gone out yet. Now that I'm out of seclusion, I'm going to walk around. I'll go with you, Duan Lingtian replied. I'll go with you then. Since I've been in the county governor's estate for 2 years, I'm quite familiar with the county city. Chapter 2650. Let's go together then. Duan Lingtian nodded his head. Although he did not have much interaction with Qin Yu, through their interactions in the past, he still had a good impression of Qin Yu. After Duan Lingtian and Qin Yu left the latent dragon abyss together, whoosh! A figure flew out of the latent dragon abyss after Duan Lingtian and Qin Yu. However, unlike Duan Lingtian and Qin Yu, this person did not head to the entrance of the county governor's mansion. Instead, this person headed in another direction. This person was none other than Zhou Fei. When Zhou Fei saw Duan Lingtian coming out of his closed-door cultivation, he immediately left the latent dragon abyss to report to his godfather, Zhou Tong, who was also the first revered elder of the county governor's mansion. Duan Lingtian has come out of closed-door cultivation? Although Zhou Tong had been patiently waiting for Duan Lingtian to come out of closed-door cultivation, his eyes still lit up when he heard that Duan Lingtian had come out of closed-door cultivation. He was so excited that his old face trembled slightly. Godfather, what should we do next? Zhou Fei asked. I know what to do. Zhou Tong gradually calmed down before he narrowed his eyes. A cold light flashed in his eyes as he said, You just have to come with me to watch the show. Zhou Fei felt relieved when he heard Zhou Tong's confident words. On the other side, after Duan Ling Tian, Qin Yu, and the others left the county governor's estate, they strolled around the county city under Qin Yu's lead. Although it had been 2 years since Duan Ling Tian came to the county city of Nine Spectres County, this was his first time strolling around the county city. Everything in the county city was unfamiliar to him, so he kept looking around. After strolling around the county city for most of the day, Duan Ling Tian entered a restaurant under Qin Yu's lead and sat at the corner of the lobby as he listened to the crowd of customers in the lobby talk about various things, gossip, and things. Duan Ling Tian and Qin Yu listened with great interest as the customers in the main hall chatted about everything under the sun. Suddenly, the discussion of 2 drinkers at one of the tables attracted Duan Ling Tian's attention. Have you heard? A year later, King Qin's mansion will hold the martial competition of the 16 counties. One of the drinkers said to another drinker, who was his friend, "Martial competition of the 16 counties?" As for his friend, it was obviously the first time he had heard of this matter. What is that? Martial competition of the 16 counties. As the former continued to introduce the martial competition of the 16 counties, not only his friends, but also most of the people in the restaurant turned their attention to him. They listened intently to his introduction of the martial competition of the 16 counties. He thought that this was the first time most people had heard of this matter. No wonder a brother of mine who works in the prefectural governor's mansion told me that the latent dragon abyss appeared 2 years ago and that there were 30 golden immortals below the age of 100 in the latent dragon abyss. So it was the prefectural governor's mansion's preparation for the martial competition of the 16 counties. Latent dragon abyss? I've heard of the county governor's estate. I even heard that 2 years ago, a golden celestial below the age of 100 was recruited from Bloody Spectre City. As soon as he arrived at the hidden dragon abyss, he severed Zhou Fei's limbs and severely injured him. Zhou Fei? You mean the strongest golden immortal below the age of 100 in Nine Spectres County? The adopted son of Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of Nine Spectres County? That's him. Are you kidding me? Zhou Fei is the strongest golden immortal below the age of 100 in Nine Spectres County. How could he have his limbs broken by a golden immortal below the age of 100 from Bloody Spectre City? Actually, this news had spread in the county 2 years ago. However, after a few people were killed by revered elder Zhou Tong's subordinates for gossiping about this matter, fewer and fewer people dared to talk about it. Then you dare to talk about it now? Aren't you afraid of death? I think, I'm not that unlucky, right? Forget it, I'll pay the bill and leave now. After the person who had exposed the news left in a hurry, a commotion broke out in the large restaurant. Most of them were talking about the golden immortal below the age of 100 from Bloody Spectre City, Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian, how do you think they'll react if they find out the person they're talking about is sitting here? Qin Yu asked Duan Ling Tian with a smile on his face. Initially, I wanted to listen to their stories to broaden my horizons. However, it seems like they won't stop talking for the time being. Let's go. Duan Ling Tian said with a shrug. All the customers in this huge restaurant's lobby were now talking about him, and it was getting out of hand. It seemed like they would not be able to change the topic until half a day later. After leaving the restaurant, Duan Ling Tian walked around the county city under Qin Yu's lead before returning to the county governor's estate and the latent dragon abyss. Keep your voice down. Not many people know about that place yet. If we hurry over now, we might be able to get a share of the loot. All of a sudden, a voice came from a remote alley in front of them. Although the voice was deliberately lowered, it was still heard by Duan Ling Tian and Qin Yu. For a moment, the two of them stopped moving. After looking at each other, they made a shushing gesture and listened attentively. Is there really a profound grade cultivation method in that place? Another voice that was deliberately lowered sounded, and there was a hint of excitement in it. I'm not sure. However, it said that place was left behind by an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. It's normal for an overarching heavenly supreme celestial to cultivate a profound grade cultivation method, right? The voice continued to recount the rumors about the ruin left behind by an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. It did not seem like it was fake at all. Based on what he said, that place doesn't seem fake. Qin Yu said in a low voice as he looked at Duan Lingtian. Indeed. Duan Lingtian nodded. He could also tell that the various messages that the person said did not seem to be fake. A moment later, the two sneaky people left the small alley and headed out of the county city. After leaving the county city, they headed north. At the north gate of the county city, Duan Lingtian and Qin Yu stopped in their tracks. Do you want to follow them and have a look? Qin Yu asked Duan Lingtian. Then, he added, once we leave the county city, we won't be able to protect our lives. Of course, if you return to the county governor's estate now and ask him to send an inner court elder with us, I'm afraid it'll be difficult for us to follow them. Although not many people in the county governor's estate knew about the mediocre grade celestial pill, the great overarching pill, being awarded to the top 3 contestants in the martial competition of the 16 counties, Duan Lingtian and Duan Lingtian were from the county governor's estate. However, as someone who had come from Bloody Spectre City with Duan Lingtian and had come to the county city with Zheng Qiu, an inner court elder of the county governor's estate, Qin Yu had heard about this matter from Zheng Qiu. For this reason, he knew the county governor of 9 specters county valued Duan Lingtian a lot. As long as Duan Lingtian asked, the county governor of 9 specters county would be willing to send an inner court elder to accompany Duan Lingtian out of the county city. Moreover, it was a mysterious grade cultivation method. Even the county governor of 9 specters county would be tempted by it. Based on how highly the county governor of 9 specters county valued Duan Lingtian, he would definitely pass the mysterious grade cultivation method to Duan Lingtian so that Duan Lingtian could obtain a better ranking in the martial competition of the 16 counties organized by King Qin's mansion. If I return to the county governor's estate now, I'll definitely lose track of them. If the news they said about the mysterious grade cultivation method doesn't sound real, there's no need for me to take the risk. However, based on their words, it's very likely that it's true. Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed as he made up his mind. I'll follow them and have a look. As for you, you can return to the county governor's estate first. If I'm lucky enough to obtain the mysterious grade cultivation method, I'll pass it to you as well. If I don't go with you, even if you obtain the mysterious grade cultivation method, I won't be able to accept it. Qin Yu shook his head and decided to go with Duan Lingtian. 2 years ago, Duan Lingtian had known that Qin Yu was a stubborn person since they had traveled from Bloody Spectre City to the county city of 9 Spectres County. Once Qin Yu had made up his mind, it would be difficult for him to change his mind. For this reason, Duan Lingtian did not try to persuade Qin Yu and agreed immediately. You can come with me, but don't stray too far from me. Duan Lingtian reminded Qin Yu. Understood. Qin Yu nodded. Although he did not know how powerful Duan Lingtian was, he was certain that Duan Lingtian was stronger than him. It did not take long before Duan Lingtian and Qin Yu left the north gate of the 9 Spectres County. They followed the 2 men as they made their way north. The 2 men were ordinary Scarlet Sun Golden Celestials. Although they were not slow, Duan Lingtian and Duan Lingtian were much faster. It was not difficult for them to catch up with the 2 men. Duan Lingtian and Duan Lingtian continued to follow the 2 men as they walked further and further away. Duan Lingtian, I feel like something's not right. Qin Yu's expression turned solemn as he flew through the air above a bamboo forest. He had a feeling that something was not right. I'm afraid we've fallen into a trap this time. At this moment, Duan Lingtian also realized the danger they were in. This was because the 2 people whom they were following closely seemed to have disappeared without a trace in an instant after they arrived in the sky above the bamboo forest. At the same time, the 2 of them seemed to have become 2 headless flies. Just when Duan Lingtian and Duan Lingtian realized something was amiss and realized the danger they were in, they came to a halt simultaneously. Duan Lingtian. A voice that Duan Lingtian was very familiar with suddenly sounded from the sky. It was getting closer and closer. Duan Lingtian immediately raised his head to look. 2 figures appeared in front of him. An old man stood in front of him while a young man stood behind him. The person who had called out his name was the young man standing behind him. Zhou Fei. Zhou Tong. Duan Lingtian's eyes narrowed slightly. Chapter 2651. How could it be them? Qin Yu, who was beside Duan Lingtian, saw the two people who were descending from the sky towards them. His expression changed greatly and he could not help but let out a cry of alarm. Of the two people before him, he had only met Zhou Fei. However, now that Zhou Fei was escorting an old man, it was not difficult for him to guess the old man's identity. The number 1 reverend of the county governor's estate in 9 Spectres County, Zhou Tong. Duan Lingtian is the person in front of Zhou Fei. Zhou Tong? Although he had vaguely guessed the identity of the old man, Qin Yu still could not help but ask Duan Lingtian via voice transmission. According to what he learned from Zheng Qiu 1.5 years ago, before Duan Lingtian went into closed-door cultivation, Zhou Tong had willingly given Duan Lingtian 2 bottles of primitive celestial pills, the spirit-nourishing pills, to Duan Lingtian for the sake of the great overarching pills. How could a person's attitude change so drastically in a year and a half? The old man who descended from the sky with Zhou Fei escorting him was clearly hostile. Most importantly, the old man did not seem like a golden immortal at all. Whether it was the old man's temperament or the invisible aura he exuded, they all seemed to be telling the people around him. He was not a golden immortal. They were existences that were even more powerful than golden immortals. It's Zhou Tong. Duan Lingtian replied telepathically. After receiving Duan Lingtian's confirmation, Qin Yu could not help but gasp even though he was mentally prepared. Didn't he give you 2 bottles of low-grade immortal elixir, spirit-nourishing elixir, a year and a half ago with the intention of training you so that you could shine in the martial competition of the 16 counties? This time, he doesn't seem to have come with good intentions. In a year and a half, isn't the change in him a little too great? Said Qin Yu via voice transmission. Indeed, they don't come with good intentions. Qin Yu could see that Zhou Tong did not come with good intentions. Duan Lingtian could naturally also see that. It was to the extent that he had already guessed that those 2 people from before were most likely arranged by Zhou Tong. I was too careless. Duan Lingtian sighed inwardly. It was also because what the 2 of them said was too real, and did not seem to be fake. Otherwise, he wouldn't have followed them without any warning. Naturally, other than the fact that the 2 of them did not seem to be lying, it was also because he had a strong desire for the profound grade cultivation method. If he could obtain a Xian grade cultivation method to replace his current Huang grade cultivation method, the secret crystal clearance method, his cultivation speed would reach a whole new level. Looks like those 2 people were arranged by Zhou Tong. However, from what those 2 people said, the matter of the profound grade cultivation method doesn't seem to be fake. Said Qin Yu via voice transmission. At the same time, Zhou Tong and Zhou Fei had already descended from the sky and arrived at a location not far from Duan Lingtian and Qin Yu. Both of their gazes descended onto Duan Lingtian in unison. As for Qin Yu, he was completely ignored by them. Exalted Zhou Tong. What a coincidence to be able to meet you here. Duan Lingtian looked at Zhou Tong with a slight smile on his face. Unfortunately, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Zhou Tong looked at Duan Lingtian indifferently. Duan Lingtian was surprised. Duan Lingtian. At the same time, Zhou Fei, who was standing behind Zhou Tong, looked at Duan Lingtian and sneered. I really didn't expect you to have hidden yourself so well. If I hadn't gone to the bloody Spectre City to investigate your background, I wouldn't have thought that you're someone who ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago. Moreover, you're a heavenly immortal who ascended to the heavenly immortal ascension pool. When Zhou Fei finished speaking, the sneer on his face grew even wider. As soon as Zhou Fei finished speaking, Qin Yu, who was standing beside Duan Lingtian, had a change in expression. He had already confirmed Zhou Fei's words. However, he did not expect Zhou Fei to not only know that Duan Lingtian had only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago, but he also seemed to have confirmed this matter. At this moment, realization dawned on Qin Yu. It was no wonder Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's estate in the 9 Spectres County, would treat Duan Lingtian so differently after a year and a half. As it turned out, Zhou Tong knew that Duan Lingtian had only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago. It was not difficult for Qin Yu to figure out why Zhou Tong's attitude had changed. Zhou Tong must have coveted Duan Lingtian's celestial methods and divine abilities that were suspected to be at the heaven grade. Mediocre celestial pills, the great overarching pills, were insignificant compared to heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities. Duan Lingtian. Qin Yu's expression changed drastically. Horror dawned on Qin Yu's face when he realized the reason Zhou Tong came with ill intentions. He immediately looked at Duan Lingtian. However, he discovered that Duan Lingtian was not lying. From the beginning until the end, Duan Lingtian's expression remained calm. It was as though he could remain calm even if Mount Tai were to collapse in front of him. "You're really thoughtful? To think you managed to find out about all these things." Duan Lingtian glanced at Zhou Fei indifferently. He clicked his tongue disdainfully as he said, "Zhou Fei, if you'd put more effort into cultivating, you wouldn't have been so weak in front of me." Duan Lingtian's words were akin to rubbing salt on Zhou Fei's wound. Zhou Fei's expression changed drastically. "Duan Lingtian, what are you so proud of?" Zhou Fei's expression changed greatly. He glared at Duan Lingtian and roared, "If it weren't for the fact that you've mastered heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities, how could you possibly be a match for me? In my eyes, you're nothing more than a lowly ascender who's been lucky." "Lowly ascender?" Duan Lingtian smiled. "You said I'm a lowly ascender? Then, what do you count as someone whose 4 limbs were cut off by a lowly ascender like me? Trash? Trash?" The smile on Duan Lingtian's face grew even wider. Faced with Duan Lingtian's question, Zhou Fei's expression changed again and again. However, he did not know how to refute it. After all, he was indeed no match for Duan Lingtian. Furthermore, the gap between them was very large. Duan Lingtian could defeat him in a single move. "Duan Lingtian, I won't argue with you," Zhou Fei said in a deep voice. "After today, you'll be a dog in my foster father's cage. If he tells you to go east, you won't dare to go west. If he tells you to go south, you won't dare to go north. If you cooperate and hand over the celestial methods and divine abilities that you've mastered, you might be able to live for a few more years. If you don't, I'll make you suffer until you're willing to cooperate and hand over the celestial methods and divine abilities that you've mastered." When Zhou Fei reached the end of his sentence, a cold smile appeared on his face. His eyes gleamed brightly as though he could already see the scene of Duan Lingtian being imprisoned by his foster father. "Is that so?" Duan Lingtian smiled. His smile was as brilliant as ever. From the beginning until the end, there was not a trace of fear on his face. It was as though he was not afraid of Zhou Tong at all. "Since you can still smile, you should seize the opportunity to smile. When my foster father makes his move, you won't be able to smile even if you want to." Zhou Fei sneered. "Duan Lingtian." As soon as Zhou Fei finished speaking, Zhou Tong, who had been silent all this while, finally spoke. He looked at Duan Lingtian, his cloudy eyes suddenly brightened. "I can't believe you've only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven for 2.5 years. If I'm not mistaken, you're still a heavenly celestial, right? If I say no, would you believe me, revered Elder Zhou Tong?" Duan Lingtian asked Zhou Tong. Before Zhou Tong could open his mouth, Zhou Fei, who was standing behind Zhou Tong, snorted coldly and said disdainfully, "Duan Lingtian, who do you think you are? It's only been 2.5 years. How can a heavenly celestial like you break through and become a golden celestial? What a joke! If it weren't for the heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities that you've mastered, Zhou Fei would only need a finger to kill you." When Zhou Fei reached the end of his sentence, his eyes were filled with disdain as he looked at Duan Lingtian. However, no matter what Zhou Fei said, Duan Lingtian did not even look at him from the beginning until the end. Duan Lingtian continued to look at Zhou Tong. It was as though only Zhou Tong, the strongest revered elder in the county governor's estate, was worthy of his attention. Zhou Fei was not worthy. Duan Lingtian. Naturally, Zhou Tong, who was completely ignored by Duan Lingtian, felt both humiliated and enraged. If looks could kill, Duan Lingtian would have died many times over. It doesn't matter if I believe it or not, you're destined to be my prisoner today. Zhou Tong said confidently as his eyes turned cold. Revered Elder Zhou Tong. Even when Zhou Tong revealed his fangs, Duan Ling Tian still had a calm expression, and he used an extremely casual tone to ask, "If I'm not wrong, the two people that lured me and Qin Yu out of the county city were arranged by you, right?" "That's right," Zhou Tong replied indifferently. He was not bothered by the fact that Duan Ling Tian was able to maintain his composure until now. Just like his foster son, Zhou Fei, both of them felt Duan Ling Tian was only pretending to be mysterious for being able to maintain his composure until now. "I'm very curious. Why is it that when they talked about the profound grade cultivation method, they were able to make it sound so real? It didn't seem fake at all." Duan Ling Tian asked again. "That's because everything they said was what I experienced a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago, I received news about a mysterious grade cultivation method and left the 9 Spectres County." When he mentioned this matter, an imperceptible look of pity flashed across Zhou Tong's face. It seems like the mysterious grade cultivation method has been taken away by someone else. What a pity. Although a look of pity flashed across Zhou Tong's face before disappearing, Duan Ling Tian saw it clearly and directly pointed it out in his words. "It's not a pity." Chapter 2652. About 2 years ago, Zhou Tong had secretly left the county governor's estate and the county city of 9 Spectres County after he learned about the mysterious grade cultivation method. The reason why he left secretly was because he did not want to share the profound grade cultivation technique with the princess of the 9 Spectres County. When Duan Ling Tian first arrived at the county city of 9 Spectres County and severely injured Zhou Fei, Zhou Tong had just learned about the mysterious grade cultivation method and secretly left the county city of 9 Spectres County. "Based on your words, revered Elder Zhou Tong, it seems like you're certain I'll give you my celestial methods and divine abilities?" Duan Ling Tian narrowed his eyes when he heard Zhou Tong's words. "You don't have to hand them over as long as you don't regret it when the time comes." Zhou Tong sneered. "I have thousands of ways to make you wish you were dead. At that time, you won't be able to die even if you want to. I'd like to see if Duan Lingtian's willpower can withstand the torture I'll inflict on you." As soon as Zhou Tong finished speaking, celestial origin energy surged out of his body like flames and shot up into the sky. It was as though he had transformed into a god of fire. Zhou Tong stood there like a god of fire. His celestial origin energy that was comparable to a great overarching golden celestial caused the air to tremble. Among the people present, Qin Yu and Zhou Fei, who had weaker cultivations, were pressured by the powerful aura of a great golden immortal from Zhou Tong's body. Their faces turned red, and they were a little breathless. Duan Ling Tian was the only one who remained calm from the beginning until the end. It was as though he was not affected at all. A mere heavenly celestial is able to remain calm under the pressure of my aura. Duan Lingtian should be proud of yourself. Zhou Tong raised an eyebrow as he looked at Duan Lingtian. He spoke as though he was looking down on Duan Lingtian. It was as though he was a god who ruled over everything while Duan Lingtian was merely an ant that he could trample on. However, Duan Lingtian ignored Zhou Tong's words. "Qin Yu." Duan Lingtian looked at Qin Yu and said, "Zhou Tong and Zhou Fei are here for me. You should return first." "Duan Lingtian, we came here together. If you want to return, let's return together." Qin Yu knew Duan Ling Tian was doing this for his own good. However, he, Qin Yu, could not abandon his friend and flee by himself when the enemy was right in front of him. Duan Ling Tian. As soon as Qin Yu finished speaking and Duan Ling Tian frowned, Zhou Tong snorted coldly. "Both of you can forget about escaping today." Zhou Tong Duan Ling Tian sect. If he was here to kill Duan Ling Tian, there was no need for him to care about Qin Yu's life. Even if Qin Yu did not die, he could complain to the county governor of 9 Spectres County. No matter how angry the county governor was, he would not make things difficult for Zhou Tong, one of the only 2 great overarching golden celestials in 9 Spectres County, for the sake of a dead Duan Ling Tian. To the county governor, a living Duan Ling Tian's value might not be any lower than Zhou Tong's. However, a dead Duan Lingtian was not as valuable as him to the county governor. However, Zhou Tong Duan Lingtian sect did not intend to kill Duan Lingtian this time. At the very least, he did not intend to kill Duan Lingtian for the time being. Even if he wanted to kill Duan Lingtian, he would have to obtain the celestial techniques and divine abilities in Duan Lingtian's possession before he could make a move. Under such circumstances, there was no way he would allow Qin Yu to leave and report to the county governor of Nine Spectres County. Once the county governor learned that Duan Lingtian had mastered celestial techniques and divine abilities, he would definitely intervene. At that time, no matter what happened, it would not be something he wanted to see. Forget it. It's fine if you want to stay. Take care of yourself. As Duan Lingtian spoke, he glanced at Zhou Fei, who was standing behind Zhou Tong. Currently, Zhou Fei was glaring at Qin Yu like a tiger watching its prey. Fei, you killed Qin Yu? I'll capture Duan Lingtian. Zhou Tong instructed Zhou Fei. His eyes never left Duan Lingtian. It was as though Duan Lingtian was the only person in his world. Yes, father. After Zhou Fei answered, he immediately set off. He rushed toward Qin Yu to kill him. Be careful. Duan Lingtian's expression darkened. The celestial origin energy in his body surged as he tried to help Qin Yu. Before Qin Yu left the county city of Nine Spectres County, he had yet to obtain Zhou Fei's cultivation room in the latent dragon abyss. Based on this, it was clear there was still a gap between Qin Yu and Zhou Fei's strength. For this reason, Zhou Tong was worried about Qin Yu's safety. You should take care of yourself first. However, just as Duan Lingtian was about to make his move toward Zhou Fei, another figure appeared in his path. It was none other than Zhou Tong, who seemed to have transformed into a bolt of lightning and appeared before him in the blink of an eye while his celestial origin energy surged like flames. Bang! Boom! 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 While Duan Lingtian was being held back by Zhou Tong, a loud explosion sounded from the other side. It was the sound of Qin Yu and Zhou Fei exchanging blows. Duan Lingtian looked over. He discovered that Zhou Tong was stronger than Zhou Tong. Although Zhou Fei was stronger than Qin Yu, he was not much stronger than Qin Yu. Based on the current situation, Zhou Fei won't be able to threaten Qin Yu's life within 100 moves. Duan Lingtian felt at ease when he saw this. His attention was completely focused on Zhou Tong, who was standing before him. Before he came to the county city of Nine Spectres County, he had heard about Zhou Tong from Lu Fenggu, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City. He knew that Lu Fenggu and Zhou Tong were irreconcilable enemies. Moreover, before he came to the county city of Nine Spectres County, he had made a deal with Lu Fenggu. Lu Fenggu had done his best to provide him with the best cultivation environment and resources. As for Zhou Tong, he would help Lu Fenggu capture Zhou Tong and bring him back to Bloody Spectre City for Lu Fenggu to deal with. Once Lu Fenggu killed Zhou Tong and took his revenge, Lu Fenggu would tell him where the celestial fire was. Unknowingly, Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed brightly as he looked at Zhou Tong. It was as bright as the stars in the night sky. He was looking forward to the celestial fire. Duan Lingtian, if you surrender, you'll suffer less. However, if you dare to resist, I'll make you suffer a fate worse than death. Zhou Tong said in a deep voice as he stared at Duan Lingtian coldly. Although he was confident that he could kill Duan Lingtian with his strength as a great overarching golden celestial, it would only take him one move. However, he could not kill Duan Lingtian for the time being. To him, capturing Duan Lingtian without killing Duan Lingtian was much more difficult than killing Duan Lingtian. Naturally, it was not difficult at all. He believed that as long as he unleashed his celestial origin energy, he would be able to capture Duan Lingtian in just a blink of an eye, making it impossible for Duan Lingtian to turn the tables. You're a great overarching golden celestial, yet you like to spout nonsense. Don't you think you're a disgrace to great overarching golden celestials? Duan Lingtian said with a sneer. Elementary devouring tactic. With just a thought, Duan Lingtian cast the assist-type divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic, and raised his celestial origin energy by 4 levels. When he was a heavenly celestial, the elementary devouring tactic could only raise his celestial origin energy by 3 levels. However, now that he had become a golden celestial, it was only natural that he could raise his celestial origin energy by 4 levels. After all, the elementary devouring tactic was a heaven-grade assist-type divine ability. It was also the only heaven-grade divine ability he had mastered up until now. What a powerful assist-type divine ability! It seems like his celestial origin energy has been raised by a few levels in just a blink of an eye. When Duan Lingtian cast the elementary devouring tactic, Zhou Tong could clearly sense the changes in Duan Lingtian's celestial origin energy. Although he could not confirm how many levels Duan Lingtian's celestial origin energy had been raised, he was certain it was a high-grade divine ability. It was most likely a heaven-grade assist-type divine ability. Earth-grade assist-type divine abilities or even lower-grade assist-type divine abilities would not be able to do this. It seems like you're really going to resist. In that case, I'll teach you a lesson. After I capture you, I'll make you suffer. Zhou Tong could tell Duan Lingtian was going to fight back when he saw Duan Lingtian had cast his assist-type divine ability. He was instantly enraged. Flames of anger rose in his eyes. In just a blink of an eye, it seemed as though it was going to burn everything. Bang! Accompanied by an earth-shaking boom, Zhou Tong's body shook, causing the space to rumble. Subsequently, Zhou Tong seemed to have transformed into a ball of flame as he soared across the sky and charged toward Duan Lingtian. The air in his path seemed as though it would burn at any moment. Sword formation. 13 green lotus swords. Faced with Zhou Tong's ferocious attacks, Duan Lingtian did not dare to be careless. He raised his hand and brought out a celestial sword. It was a primitive celestial weapon he had obtained earlier. Then he began to cast his various techniques. He did not dare to hold back in the face of a great overarching golden celestial who was charging at him menacingly. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. As the dozen or so sword formations merged into one, the sword formation shone brightly and unleashed a terrifying force as it charged toward Zhou Tong menacingly. How's this possible? As soon as Duan Lingtian used his primitive celestial weapon to attack, Zhou Tong could clearly sense it. The force of Duan Lingtian's attack was stronger than all the peak golden celestials he had encountered so far. Even the inner mansion elder in the county governor's estate in Nine Spectres County, who was widely acknowledged as the strongest person below great overarching golden celestials, would not be able to unleash such a powerful attack. Although Duan Lingtian's attack was not powerful enough to threaten Zhou Tong, it was still not powerful enough. However, it was not something that could be dispelled by the attacks that he had just displayed. Chapter 2653. It seems like I've underestimated you. Zhou Tong looked at Duan Lingtian with a grave expression on his face. He had only managed to neutralize Duan Lingtian's ferocious attack with all his might without using any celestial weapons. His eyes were filled with waves of inexplicable shock. He did not expect Duan Lingtian to be so powerful. He did not expect Duan Lingtian to be so powerful. Did he really just ascend to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago? Is he really just a heavenly celestial? At this moment, Zhou Tong's heart began to waver. Even a violet moon heavenly celestial who had mastered so many heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities would not be able to unleash such a powerful attack, right? Moreover, how could a person who had just ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago become a violet moon heavenly celestial in just 2.5 years? Even if Duan Lingtian was talented and managed to ascend to the spirit overarching heaven after cultivating in the mundane realm for less than 100 years, it was still impossible for him to ascend to the spirit overarching heaven. However, it was impossible for him to improve so much in just 2.5 years, right? It seems that he has other secrets on him. Zhou Tong thought about how Duan Lingtian had only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago. He had spent a lot of effort to verify this. Therefore, he guessed Duan Lingtian had other secrets. That secret was most likely the reason why Duan Lingtian had become so powerful in just 2.5 years. Zhou Tong's breathing quickened when he thought about this. Duan Ling, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. Zhou Tong muttered to himself. He looked at Duan Lingtian and said in a deep voice, "However, if this is the extent of your strength, you're destined to be captured by me today. I'll torture you until you wish you were dead." As he spoke, Zhou Tong's tone became increasingly cold, giving one the feeling as if one had fallen into an ice cellar. Although the power of Duan Lingtian's attack just now was greater than the full-powered attack of any peak gold immortal he had ever encountered, however, compared to his strength, there was still a gap. Earlier, the reason why he'd used his full strength to deal with Duan Lingtian's attack was only because he'd acted hastily and gained the upper hand after striking, causing him to suffer a great loss. If he was prepared and faced Duan Lingtian head-on, then even if he didn't use an immortal artifact, his full-strength attack would be enough to easily defeat Duan Lingtian's attack from before. That will depend on whether you have the ability to capture me. Duan Lingtian sneered. At this time, he could roughly feel the gap between him and Zhou Tong. Even if Zhou Tong did not use his celestial artifact, he could still easily deal with the full-powered attack of his low-grade celestial artifact. However, was this really the extent of his trump card? "I'll show you right away." Zhou Tong also sneered. Boom! Rumble! Zhou Tong's body swayed again as he charged toward Duan Lingtian. The flames on his body soared into the sky as if the god of fire was enraged and was about to unleash a divine punishment on the world. The movement was so great that Zhou Fei and Qin Yu, who were fighting at the side, temporarily separated from each other. They stopped fighting and looked at the flaming figure with a shocked expression on their faces. This Duan Lingtian can actually force my foster father to use such a powerful force? Although Zhou Fei's cultivation was not enough to see through his foster father's current attack, he could still faintly feel that his foster father's attack was too powerful. Even the full strength of a peak golden immortal would not be able to match the strength of his foster father's attack. Duan Lingtian could actually force his foster father to use such a powerful force? It was not only Zhou Fei. Even Qin Yu was in a similar state of shock. Earlier, Qin Yu and Zhou Fei had exchanged 20 to 30 blows. Although Qin Yu was at a disadvantage, he would not lose to Zhou Fei in a short period of time. Now that Zhou Fei had taken the initiative to stop, Qin Yu was more than happy to stop as well. On the other side, Duan Lingtian's expression turned grave as he faced Zhou Tong, who was charging at him menacingly again. The strength of the current Zhou Tong's attacks was far from what he had been capable of earlier. Even if Qin Yu were to use the same attack as before, it would be difficult for him to withstand Zhou Tong's current attack. My current strength is still slightly weaker than a great overarching golden immortal. Duan Lingtian sighed inwardly. Duan Lingtian's eyes shone brightly. However, the difference isn't that big. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew past. Duan Lingtian raised his hand and withdrew the low-grade celestial sword. Just as Zhou Tong, who was charging toward Duan Lingtian, was puzzled by Duan Lingtian's actions, a voice suddenly rang out. 7 Orifices Exquisite Sword. With just a thought, a 7-colored light rose from the center of Duan Lingtian's right palm. Every time it rose a little, a powerful aura would sweep out in all directions. After a while, the 7-colored sword ray hovered in front of Duan Lingtian. And it was precisely this 7-colored sword ray that gave Zhou Tong, Zhou Fei, and Qin Yu an extremely oppressive feeling the moment it appeared. This was especially true for Zhou Fei and Qin Yu. Even the powerful aura emitted by Zhou Tong, a great golden immortal, was far less oppressive than the 7-colored sword light. At this moment, the 7-colored sword ray was the focus of everyone's attention. It hovered in the air, causing everything around it to pale in comparison. This seems like an immortal artifact? What grade is this immortal artifact? Zhou Tong and the other two were shocked and confused. Sword formation. 13 green lotus swords. Faced with the descending flames that were like divine punishment, Duan Lingtian made his move again with the help of the 7-colored sword ray that rose from his palm. In just an instant, the sword formation that was formed by thousands of sword rays shone with a dazzling 7-colored light. More than 10 7-colored sword formations whizzed out, forming a special rainbow in the void. In the end, the dozen or so rainbow sword formations merged into one. Their radiance increased tremendously, like a rainbow scorching sun, radiating dazzling rainbow light in all directions. Boom, 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 boom. The moment the seven-colored sun appeared, the power of the sword formation whizzed out and slammed into the void, creating a series of deafening explosions. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Duan Ling Tian, I didn't expect you to have such a high-grade immortal artifact. However, do you think you're the only one with an immortal artifact? Zhou Tong's eyes flashed with greed. His voice became colder, causing the temperature in the surroundings to drop by a few degrees. Bush, 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 bush. As Zhou Tong charged toward Duan Ling Tian, a walking stick appeared in his right hand. The flames on his body surged again, emitting an even more powerful aura. This might was not inferior to Duan Ling Tian's seven-colored sword formation that was like a blazing seven-colored sun. A mediocre celestial artifact? At this moment, it was not difficult for Duan Ling Tian to see the celestial artifact that Zhou Tong had taken out was not just a primitive celestial artifact. If it was just a primitive celestial artifact, it would not be enough to help Zhou Tong's strength catch up to his seven orifices exquisite sword. Since it was not a primitive celestial artifact, it could only be a mediocre celestial artifact. He did not think Zhou Tong would have a prominent celestial artifact since he did not think Zhou Tong would have one. I wonder if the last stage of the Sovereign Heart Sword, the submission of 10,000 soldiers, would be able to snatch a mediocre celestial artifact like a primitive celestial artifact? While Duan Ling Tian was feeling slightly nervous, the seven-colored sword ray that bloomed like a blazing seven-colored sun emitted a mysterious aura that spread in the air at an exaggerated speed. In just a blink of an eye, it had shrouded the surrounding area. Zhou Tong was not the only one who was shrouded. Even Zhou Fei and Qin Yu were no exception. Suddenly, the immortal artifacts in Zhou Tong and Qin Yu's hands were the first to bear the brunt of the impact. They flew out of their hands and were pulled into the seven-colored sword formation by a powerful invisible power. No! Impossible! At the same time, two shocked cries rang in the air. The mediocre celestial artifact walking stick in Zhou Tong's hand had also been snatched by the mysterious aura from Duan Lingtian's seven-colored sword formation. The aura had injured Zhou Tong's hand and forcibly snatched the walking stick from his hand. Without the crutch to rely on, the flames on Zhou Tong's body instantly weakened a little. When Zhou Tong's mediocre celestial artifact walking stick was snatched and merged with Duan Lingtian's seven-colored sword formation, the seven-colored sword formation finally met Zhou Tong, who was like a meteor that was shrouded in flames. Bush, 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 bush. The sword whistled. The seven-colored sword ray that filled the sky illuminated the entire area. It seemed as though it had turned into a seven-colored dreamlike world in an instant. Bush, 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 bush. The sound of flames raging could be heard. A huge ball of flames broke through the air. It was so powerful that it seemed as though it could burn the entire area. The two attacks collided with each other. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion was heard. A mushroom cloud rose into the air. Following that, an extremely powerful shockwave spread out along with the airwaves. It slapped Zhou Fei and Qin Yu's bodies and sent them flying far away. Furthermore, both of them were heavily injured. This was because they were relatively far away from the scene. If they were near the place where the two forces collided, that attack just now would have been enough to take their lives. But right at the moment when Zhou Fei and Qin Yu stopped with lingering fear in their hearts, another unreconciled cry sounded in their ears. Father! Chapter 2654. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. When the sword formation gathered from the seven-colored sword light received Zhou Tong, it also extinguished the flames on him in a devastating manner. Moreover, it all landed on his body, leaving behind bloody holes. In just a blink of an eye, Zhou Tong looked like a hornet's nest. His entire body was filled with bloody holes, and blood was gushing out of them. After a while, the weak celestial origin energy in Zhou Tong's body began to dissipate, and the bloody holes on his body finally stopped spurting blood. Huff, 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 huff. Zhou Tong panted heavily, his forehead covered in sweat. It was because of the intense pain that came from all over his body that he broke out in cold sweat. Otherwise, with his cultivation base, it was impossible for him to sweat no matter how hot the weather was. "Why didn't you kill me?" Zhou Tong panted heavily as he looked at Duan Lingtian. Apart from shock and disbelief, a hint of fear could be seen in his eyes. Although Duan Lingtian's seven-colored sword ray that had gathered into a sword formation had left many hideous bloody holes on his body, causing his body to look like a hornet's nest, it was still not enough. However, during this process, the rainbow-colored sword rays seemed to have eyes. They completely avoided the vital parts of his body so that he would not die from the previous attack. "Naturally, I have a use for you." In response to Zhou Tong's question, Duan Lingtian said indifferently, "However, there's no need to be in such a hurry. You'll also die soon. It's just that you won't die in my hands." He did not kill Zhou Tong because he wanted to bring Zhou Tong back to Bloody Spectre City so that Lu Fenggu, the city governor, could personally kill him. At that time, not only would he be able to complete his deal with Lu Fenggu, but he would also be able to obtain information about the celestial fire from Lu Fenggu. "Who do you want to kill me?" Zhou Tong's eyes widened. "Who do you think?" Duan Lingtian asked. "Lu Fenggu." With a flash of inspiration in his mind, Zhou Tong subconsciously uttered such a name. The reason why he thought of this name was because he couldn't think of anyone else other than Lu Fenggu. Lu Fenggu was the city lord of Bloody Spectre City. On the other hand, Duan Lingtian was from Bloody Spectre City. Exalted Zhou Tong is indeed smart. Duan Lingtian smiled faintly. "Godfather, use a soul attack. Unless this Duan Lingtian possesses a prominent celestial weapon, it's impossible for him to withstand the soul attack of a great overarching golden celestial." The moment Duan Lingtian's words left his mouth, Zhou Fei, who was standing in the distance, finally regained his senses. He was stunned by the scene of Zhou Tong being defeated and severely injured by Duan Lingtian. After regaining his senses, he immediately roared out a warning to Zhou Tong. He had heard about Duan Lingtian possessing a mediocre soul defense celestial weapon from Yao Lai Long, the commander of the Silverworm army in Bloody Spectre City. For this reason, Duan Lingtian was not afraid of soul attacks from golden celestials. However, a mediocre soul defense celestial weapon could only withstand soul attacks from golden celestials. A mediocre soul defense celestial weapon could not withstand soul attacks from a great overarching golden celestial. Only a mediocre soul defense celestial weapon could withstand soul attacks from a great overarching golden celestial. Hearing Zhou Fei's warning, Zhou Tong, who had originally thought that he was going to die and had lost all hope, suddenly had his eyes light up. They were like two resplendent stars twinkling in the night sky, dazzling and dazzling. In the next moment, he cast a soul attack without any hesitation. A seemingly solid flame shot out from between his eyebrows and shot toward Duan Lingtian at an extremely fast speed. Before Duan Lingtian could react, it entered Duan Lingtian's body. The seemingly solid flame was the great overarching golden celestial soul attack that Zhou Tong had cast in a hurry. After entering Duan Lingtian's body, it went straight for Duan Lingtian's soul. It looked as though it wanted to destroy Duan Lingtian's soul. However, just as the solid flame was about to reach Duan Lingtian's soul and burn Duan Lingtian's soul, a sudden change occurred. Swoosh! A small piece of metal that looked broken and inconspicuous appeared out of nowhere between the flame and Duan Lingtian's soul. It was as though it had transformed into a natural barrier that separated the two. In the next moment, the incomplete piece of metal that seemed to be constantly flickering with a mysterious light suddenly shone with a mysterious light. A powerful suction force extended from it, and as if it was trying to devour the world, it directly swallowed the seemingly solid flame that was charging at it with a ferocious momentum. After devouring the seemingly solid flame, the broken piece of metal retracted its mysterious light in a timely manner. However, the mysterious light on the broken piece of metal was much deeper and denser than before. However, since Duan Lingtian was not paying attention to this, he did not notice this. Otherwise, he would have been able to confirm one thing. That was, after devouring the soul attack, the profound light on the incomplete piece of metal seemed to undergo some strange changes. This broken piece of metal is comparable to a superior-grade celestial artifact that defends the soul. Moreover, judging from how easily it devours the soul attack of a great overarching golden celestial, this is probably not its limit. Duan Lingtian could not help but think to himself after the broken piece of metal on the side of his soul had easily devoured Zhou Tong's soul attack. Perhaps, it can even devour the soul attack of someone stronger than a great overarching golden celestial. When Duan Lingtian thought of this, he could not help but inwardly gasp. This defective metal piece is the product of a jade token and a strange stone. The origin of the strange stone is unknown, but the jade token is highly valued by Ker's third uncle, a powerhouse from the divine offering land who's even more powerful than a heavenly emperor in a Devata realm, Duan Lingtian explained. I don't know what this defective piece of metal is, but I'm not sure what it is. Are there any secrets hidden in it? Duan Lingtian grew more and more curious about the broken piece of metal. At this moment, Duan Lingtian's attention shifted to the broken piece of metal. Gasp, gasp, gasp. 3 sharp inhales rang in the air in unison. The sound was particularly ear-piercing in this silent environment. Duan Lingtian regained his senses and looked at Zhou Tong, who had just attacked him with a soul attack. At this moment, Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed with killing intent as he looked at Zhou Tong. If he did not have the broken piece of metal, he would have been able to kill Zhou Tong. Zhou Tong's soul attack would have been enough to destroy his soul and take his life. Why you actually have a soul defense prominent celestial weapon? Zhou Tong stared at Duan Lingtian in shock and disbelief when he heard Zhou Fei's words. His voice trembled as he looked at Duan Lingtian. His face was filled with fear as he stuttered in fear. A prominent celestial weapon. Let alone his godfather, Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's estate in Nine Spectres County, did not have a prominent celestial weapon. Even the county governor of Nine Spectres County did not have a prominent celestial weapon. However, not only did Duan Lingtian possess a prominent celestial weapon, but it was a soul defense celestial weapon that was even rarer than ordinary celestial weapons. Duan Lingtian snorted coldly as soon as Zhou Fei finished speaking. With a cold snort, he raised his hand like lightning and aimed it in the direction of Zhou Fei, sweeping across the sky. Swoosh! A beam of rainbow-colored sword light flashed across the sky, as if it could slice the world in half. Spurt! A soft sound rang in the air as Zhou Fei's body was sliced into 2 by the 7-colored sword ray. Zhou Fei's expression was still the same even when he was killed. It was clear he did not even have time to react to Duan Lingtian's sudden attack. Bang! Duan Lingtian struck with his palm, and his boundless celestial origin energy surged out like a torrent, destroying Zhou Fei's body that had been sliced into 2. All that was left was a spatial ring that floated in the air before Duan Lingtian raised his hand and collected it. Zhou Fei, who was still alive and kicking a moment ago, had completely disappeared from this world without leaving a trace. From the beginning until the end, Zhou Tong did not dare to move at all as he stood nearby. In fact, Duan Lingtian did not use the profundity of the Sovereign Heart Sword and the divine ability, the 13 green lotus swords, when he swung his sword earlier. If Zhou Tong had made a move, he might have been able to block the attack even if he was severely injured. However, he did not dare to do so. This was because he knew if he did so, he would only infuriate Duan Lingtian. In that case, he would die even faster. Just as Duan Lingtian was about to put Zhou Fei's spatial ring away, a deafening sound rang in his ears. He looked in the direction of the sound and saw a streak of light shooting through the air. A flowing light left the void where Zhou Tong was at an extremely fast speed and flew toward the county city of Nine Spectres County. A communication celestial talisman? It was not difficult for Duan Lingtian to see that it was a communication celestial talisman that Zhou Tong had sent out. It was not difficult for him to guess Zhou Tong's intention for sending out the communication celestial talisman. Zhou Tong must have wanted to inform the county governor of the Nine Spectres County to send reinforcements. Moreover, the communication celestial talisman might have exposed Duan Lingtian's true identity. Duan Lingtian snorted coldly. His celestial origin energy surged out of his body and transformed into thousands of sword rays that formed a 7-colored sword formation before it shot toward the communications celestial talisman. Bush, 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 bush. Chapter 2655. The communications celestial talisman that Zhou Tong had thrown out had been personally inscribed by him. Its speed was comparable to an ordinary great golden immortal. It was not much slower than Zhou Tong's full speed. If it was someone below the level of a great golden immortal, it would be impossible for them to catch up to the communications celestial talisman, let alone intercept it. However, there were exceptions to everything. Although Duan Ling Tian's cultivation base was not comparable to a great overarching golden celestial, with the help of the Devata artifact, the 7 orifices exquisite sword, his attack was not weaker than an ordinary great overarching golden celestial. Therefore, his attack caught up to Zhou Tong's communication celestial talisman and intercepted it. This was because the 7 orifices exquisite sword had lost its sword soul and was no longer as powerful as it was before. Otherwise, Zhou Tong's communication celestial talisman would not have been able to travel so far. Zhou Tong's expression changed drastically when he saw his communications celestial talisman being intercepted. When he looked at Duan Ling Tian again, apart from shock and disbelief, there was only fear in his eyes. Today, before he appeared in front of Duan Ling Tian, he had never thought he would end up like this. An ascender who has only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven for 2.5 years is stronger than me. How is this possible? Now, no matter how impossible it was, Zhou Tong had no choice but to accept this cruel reality. Duan Lingtan? Qin Yu muttered to himself. At the same time, when Qin Yu, who was standing at the side, looked at Duan Ling Tian again, there was only shock and awe in his eyes. He knew Duan Lingtan was strong and had mastered many profound celestial techniques and mystiques. However, he did not expect Duan Ling Tian to be as strong as a great golden immortal. Today, he had personally witnessed Duan Ling Tian defeating Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's mansion and one of the 2 great golden immortals in 9 Spectres County. If Duan Ling Tian had not held back, Zhou Tong would have been dead. Unknowingly, besides shock, the gaze Qin Yu shot at Duan Ling Tian also contained a sense of unfamiliarity. He felt as though Duan Ling Tian was a stranger to him at this moment. Was this really the Duan Ling Tian he knew? It was as though he was possessed by a god. Qin Yu, are you coming with me to Bloody Spectre City, or should I send you back to the county city first? Duan Ling Tian asked Qin Yu with a smile on his face after he controlled the 7-colored sword formation to hover around Zhou Tong. It was as though it had transformed into a cage that imprisoned Zhou Tong. He planned to bring Zhou Tong to Lu Feng, the city lord of Bloody Spectre City, to the city lord of Bloody Spectre City. Not to mention, before he came to the county city of 9 Spectres County, he had never thought of such a thing. He had done golden immortal Duan since Duan Ling Tian, in Duan Ling Tian, Dun Ling Tian, in Duan Du Dash, in Duan Ling Tian. When Duan Ling Tian suddenly spoke to Qin Yu regained his senses. After Duan Ling Tian asked again, Qin Yu replied, "I'll go with you to Bloody Spectre City." Duan Ling Tian nodded. Then, he controlled a 7-colored sword formation to restrain Zhou Tong and another 7-colored sword formation to carry him and Qin Yu toward Bloody Spectre City at a speed comparable to a great overarching golden celestial. Duan Lingen, as long as you release me, I, Zhou Tong, am willing to recognize you as my master. Even if you want to become the county governor of 9 Spectres County, I can still help you. Zhou Tong, who was imprisoned by Duan Ling Tian, could smell the scent of death when he saw Duan Ling Tian bringing him to Bloody Spectre City. He immediately lowered his head and said humbly, "I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'll die soon. Help me become the county governor of 9 Spectres County?" Duan Ling Tian smiled. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Zhou Tong indifferently. "Zhou Tong, if you have the ability to help me become the county governor of 9 Spectres County, would you still be a mere revered elder of the county governor's estate? Do you really think I'm a 3-year-old child?" A hint of mockery could be heard in Duan Lingtian's voice when he spoke. If Zhou Tong had the ability to help Duan Lingtian become the county governor of Nine Spectres County, why didn't he do it himself? Duan Lingtian, although you're strong, you're only evenly matched with Tian Jiyu, the county governor of Nine Spectres County. If I help you, it won't be impossible for us to kill Tian Jiyu if we join forces. Zhou Tong said. Ha! Duan Lingtian chuckled when he heard Zhou Tong's words. Who can guarantee that you won't join forces with the county governor of Nine Spectres County to attack me at that time? Zhou Tong's expression darkened when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. He had really thought about this before. However, he had a better plan. He wanted to kill two birds with one stone. You must believe me. Zhou Tong was not confident when he said this. However, he still braced himself and said, if you become the county governor of Nine Spectres County, you won't have to worry about cultivation resources in the future. At that time, you'll be able to enjoy supreme authority in Nine Spectres County. Although the Nine Spectres County is under King Qin's mansion, King Qin's mansion usually doesn't interfere with the matters in Nine Spectres County. As long as you become the county governor of Nine Spectres County, you'll have the final say in Nine Spectres County. Zhou Tong began to tempt Duan Lingtian with the title of county governor of Nine Spectres County. I'm sorry, I'm not interested. Duan Lingtian could not be bothered to waste his breath on Zhou Tong since they were about to arrive at Bloody Spectre City. I was just teasing you earlier. Do you really think I can't see through your little scheme? He had only spoken to Zhou Tong earlier because he was bored. 2 years ago, when he was still in Bloody Spectre City, he already knew that the county governor of Nine Spectres County had to be appointed. Similarly, if one wanted to become the city governor of Bloody Spectre City, one had to obtain the approval of the county governor of Nine Spectres County. Similarly, if one wanted to become the county governor of Nine Spectres County, one had to obtain the approval of King Qin from King Qin's mansion. If he killed the county governor of Nine Spectres County, he would be hunted down by King Qin's mansion. When Zhou Tong tried to tempt him with the title of county governor of Nine Spectres County, he knew Zhou Tong was up to no good. Perhaps, Zhou Tong would not join forces with the county chief of the Nine Spectres County to deal with Duan Lingtian. However, if the county governor of Nine Spectres County died, Zhou Tong could push all the blame to him and ask King Qin's mansion to deal with him. At that time, he would be hunted down by King Qin's mansion. It would be impossible for him to stay in Nine Spectres County. At that time, Zhou Tong would be able to reap the benefits. He had long guessed Zhou Tong's intention, but he did not point it out. When Zhou Tong heard Duan Lingtian said he was only teasing him because he was bored, he was so angry that he almost threw up blood. His expression was unsightly as well. At the same time, his gaze began to sweep the surroundings with the intention of looking for a flaw in the seven-colored sword formation that imprisoned him so that he could charge out and escape with his life. At this moment, his injuries had mostly healed. Although he was not confident he would be able to escape, he was still confident he would be able to escape. What? Are you trying to escape? When the outline of Bloody Spectre City appeared in front of Duan Lingtian suddenly said coldly as he looked at Zhou Tong. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Duan Lingtian's cold shout scared Zhou Tong so much that he panicked. At the same time, he retracted his gaze guiltily. When Zhou Tong retracted his gaze, Duan Lingtian's cold snort resonated in the air. In the next moment, thoosh, 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 thoosh. Along with the ear-piercing sound of swords whistling in the air, it was as though the seven-colored sword formations under Duan Lingtian's feet had eyes of their own as they charged toward Zhou Tong, who was imprisoned by another seven-colored sword formation. Zhou Tong's expression changed drastically when he saw Duan Lingtian attacking him. His celestial origin energies surged out of his body like flames. However, although he had recovered quite a bit from his injuries, he was still far from being at his peak. The celestial origin energy that rose from his body was instantly destroyed by Duan Lingtian's seven-colored sword formation. The seven-colored sword formation under Duan Lingtian's feet and the seven-colored sword formation that imprisoned Zhou Tong were both created by Duan Lingtian. For this reason, the former did not face any resistance when it entered the latter. Spurt! 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 A series of crisp sounds rang out. It was the seven-colored sword light that had gathered into the seven-colored sword formation. Once again, it left hideous and terrifying bloody holes on Zhou Tong's body, piercing him into a hornet's nest. At the same time, just like before, the seven-colored sword formations that rained down on Zhou Tong avoided all the vital points on his body, so his life was not in danger. Due to this, Zhou Tong could only use his celestial origin energy to heal his injuries. At this moment, the aura on Zhou Tong's body weakened once again. When Zhou Tong finally caught his breath, his forehead was drenched in cold sweat. When he looked at Duan Ling Tian again, he gritted his teeth. It was as though he wanted to pounce on Duan Ling Tian and bite off a piece of his flesh to vent his anger. Duan Ling Tian's actions had cut off Zhou Tong's escape route. With his current state, it was utterly impossible for him to escape under Duan Ling Tian's nose. Duan Ling Tian completely ignored Zhou Tong's gnashing of teeth. To him, Zhou Tong was merely a person who was about to die. A great overarching golden celestial. He's a great overarching golden celestial. As for Qin Yu, who stood to the side, although he had a calm expression the entire time as he watched the development in front of him, waves of shock had been raised in his heart. After all, Zhou Tong was a great overarching golden celestial. Chapter 2656. As the seven-colored light streaked across the sky like a rainbow, the entire bloody Spectre City was in an uproar. What's that? What's that seven-colored light? It seems to be heading in the direction of the city governor's mansion. Such momentum. Could it be that an expert has come to our bloody Spectre City? Could it be a friend of the city governor? Everyone in bloody Spectre City who saw the seven-colored light in the sky looked in the direction the seven-colored light was pointing at. It was the direction of the city governor's mansion. Bloody Spectre City, city governor's mansion. The seven-colored light that resembled a god had alarmed the entire bloody Spectre City and the city governor's mansion. Everyone in the city governor's mansion watched as the seven-colored light landed outside the main hall of the city governor's mansion. Senior, pardon me for not coming out to welcome you. May I know why you've come to our bloody Spectre City? Almost as soon as the seven-colored light landed outside the main hall of the city governor's mansion, a loud voice filled with nervousness could be heard from afar. A moment later, a tall figure flew over from afar like a ghost. In just a blink of an eye, he arrived at the entrance of the main hall of the city governor's mansion. However, when he saw the two people on the other side of the seven-colored light, he was stunned. Behind the tall figure, an old and aged figure appeared. It was an old man. When he saw the two people on the side of the seven-colored light, he was just as stunned as the former. He couldn't come back to his senses for a long time. Previously, the seven-colored light had descended from outside the bloody Spectre City and landed in the city governor's mansion. It was so majestic that it caused one's heart to palpitate. In their opinion, only a great overarching golden celestial or above would be able to cause such a commotion. Before they appeared, they did not know who this expert was or why he had come. Hence, their hearts were filled with anxiety and uneasiness. This could be heard from the anxious voice that the owner of the tall figure let out before he appeared. Now that they saw the two people in front of them, they heaved a sigh of relief. However, they were also stunned. This was because they knew the two young men in front of them. Duan Lingtan, Qin Yi. The tall figure was none other than Lu Fenggu, the city governor of bloody Spectre City. He looked at the two young men standing in front of him with a smile on their faces. Although he regained his senses, it took him a long time to recover from his shock. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought. The two great overarching golden celestials who had come to the city governor's estate were the two young talents who had left bloody Spectre City 2 years ago. Duan Lingtian. Qin Yu. City Lord, I've returned this time to complete our deal. Duan Lingtian raised his hand as he looked at Lu Fenggu. Immediately, the seven-colored radiance around Lu Fenggu and Qin Yu faded slightly. Not only did it reveal the complete state of the sword formation, but it also revealed the imprisoned figure in front of Lu Fenggu and the old man beside him. The old man beside Lu Fenggu was none other than Elder Hong, the leader of the Golden Serpent Guards. He was the strongest person under Lu Fenggu and was widely acknowledged as the second strongest person in Bloody Spectre City. Swoosh, swoosh. When they saw the old figure imprisoned in the gradually fading seven-colored light, their expressions changed. Their pupils constricted at the same time, and the depths of their eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. This, Lu Fenggu and Elder Hong's throats moved, and they couldn't accept the reality in front of them for a long time. They hadn't seen the person imprisoned by the rainbow light for many years, but his appearance and figure hadn't changed in the slightest, so they were able to recognize him right away. It was none other than Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's estate in Nine Spectres County. To Lu Fenggu, even if the person before him was reduced to ashes, he would still be able to recognize him. This was because Zhou Tong was the enemy he had been longing to kill all these years. Lu Fenggu, how dare you? At the same time, Zhou Tong, who was trapped by the seven-colored sword formation, glared at Lu Fenggu as he said coldly, "How dare you find someone to deal with me? If I knew this day would come, I wouldn't have spared your life for the sake of the county governor." From Zhou Tong's point of view, it was precisely because he had spared Lu Fenggu's life that this calamity had befallen him. However, he did not expect that Lu Fenggu would be so ruthless. If Duan Lingtian did not want to let Lu Fenggu deal with him, he would have killed Lu Fenggu outside the county city of Nine Spectres County. This time, Lu Fenggu was the one who had provoked Duan Lingtian. Even if Duan Lingtian did not make a deal with Lu Fenggu, he would still be doomed. Zhou Tong's voice rang in Lu Fenggu's ears like thunder, causing him to feel pain in his eardrums. Lu Fenggu, who had been wondering if he was dreaming, came back to his senses. At the same time, he confirmed that he was not dreaming. "I'm not dreaming. I'm not dreaming," Lu Fenggu muttered. After regaining his senses, Lu Fenggu looked at Zhou Tong, who was glaring at him. Suddenly, Lu Fenggu smiled brightly. "Ha!" In the end, Lu Fenggu could not help but laugh out loud. While Lu Fenggu was laughing loudly, Old Hong, who was standing next to him, regained his senses and left Lu Fenggu's side in a flash to prevent the city lord's mansion's guards, who had heard the commotion, from approaching. Today's matter concerned Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's estate in Nine Spectres County. The fewer people who knew about this, the better. If he was not careful, he might anger the county governor of Nine Spectres County and bring disaster to the city governor of Bloody Spectre City. "Zhou Tong, to think you would have such a day. You didn't even dream that you would have such a day, right?" Lu Fenggu looked at Zhou Tong and laughed heartily. His tone was filled with relief and joy. Duan Lingtian and Qin Yu stood to the side and watched quietly. Duan Lingtian had long known about the grudge between Lu Fenggu and Zhou Tong. Therefore, he was not surprised. On the other hand, Qin Yu had also heard about the grudge between Lu Fenggu and Zhou Tong from Duan Lingtian on their way back to Bloody Spectre City. However, when he learned about the grudge between Lu Fenggu and Zhou Tong and the deal between Duan Lingtian and Lu Fenggu, the doubts he had when he was still in Bloody Spectre City were easily solved. He finally understood why Lu Fenggu was here. Why did Lu Fenggu take such good care of Duan Lingtian and allow Duan Lingtian to cultivate in his cultivation room? One must know that even the commander of the Black Dragon Army and the Silverworm Army, Lu Fenggu's right-hand man, did not receive such treatment. "Lu Fenggu, if you dare to touch me, Lord County Governor will make sure you die a graveless death." When Zhou Tong saw the murderous intent in Lu Fenggu's eyes as he laughed, his expression changed drastically. He wanted to use the county governor of Nine Spectres County to threaten Lu Fenggu so that Lu Fenggu would not dare to attack him. "If I can kill you, I won't have any regrets even if Lord County Governor wants to kill me." Lu Fenggu stopped laughing when he heard the threat in Zhou Tong's words. He looked at Zhou Tong with a calm expression as he spoke. At this moment, Lu Fenggu looked as though he had seen through life and death. Seeing that Lu Fenggu was not lying, Zhou Tong's expression changed greatly. When he spoke again, he no longer threatened Lu Fenggu. Instead he begged, "City Lord Lu, I know that what I did back then was wrong to you and your personal disciple. How about this? If you're willing to spare my life and ask Duan Lingtian to let me go, I'm willing to search for a better direct disciple to compensate you. Also, if there's anything else you want as compensation, I can promise you anything." At this moment of life and death, the usually arrogant Zhou Tong had completely lowered his arrogant head. He wagged his tail and begged for mercy in front of Lu Fenggu, an ant that he had always looked down on. "You're going to search for a better direct disciple to compensate me?" Lu Fenggu laughed. His laughter was brilliant and maniacal. Unknowingly, tears flowed from his eyes and covered his face. However, his eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. His killing intent had reached its peak. "Do you think that my personal disciple, whom I have groomed since young, whom I see as my own son, can be replaced by anyone?" Lu Fenggu looked at Zhou Tong and the smile on his face turned into a cold sneer. Zhou Tong was about to say something when he heard Lu Fenggu's voice. "Duan Lingtian." Lu Fenggu glared at Duan Lingtian as killing intent surged out of his eyes. Duan Lingtian knew what Lu Fenggu wanted him to do. With just a thought, the seven-colored sword formation shone brightly. But when the seven-colored light surged, Zhou Tong seemed to have realized something. His expression changed again as he let out a mournful roar. Boom! Celestial origin energy surged out of Zhou Tong's body as he struggled for his life. However, the current Zhou Tong was severely injured after all. Even if he struggled, it was futile in front of Duan Lingtian's seven-colored sword formation. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The seven-colored sword formation suddenly shrank as tens of thousands of sword rays shot out. After destroying Zhou Tong's surging celestial origin energy, the sword rays pierced into his body, leaving bloody holes on his body. The hornet's nest had appeared again. Although Zhou Tong's vital organs were not injured, he was severely injured and was on the verge of death. Pumph! With a cold snort, Lu Fenggu, who was standing at the side, made his move when Zhou Tong was on the verge of death. Swoosh! Lu Fenggu's palm moved and took Zhou Tong's life. A great overarching golden celestial had died just like that. Chapter 2657. Zhou Tong, a great overarching golden celestial and the number one revered elder of the county governor's estate, had died in Bloody Spectre City, one of the 9 cities in 9 Spectres County. He had died in the hands of Lu Fenggu, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City. If news of this spread, it would undoubtedly cause a commotion in 9 Spectres County. However, due to the interference of Lu Fenggu's subordinate, Elder Hong, only Elder Hong, Duan Lingtian, Lu Fenggu, and Qin Yu knew about what had happened outside the main hall of the city governor's estate. "Did you see that? Master has avenged you." After killing Zhou Tong, Lu Fenggu became agitated. He lifted his head and looked in the direction of the 9 Spectres County's county city as he muttered to himself. "City governor." Although Duan Lingtian did not want to disturb Lu Fenggu, he had no choice but to speak up. "Why didn't I sense any trace of the floating image celestial talisman when you killed Zhou Tong?" Duan Lingtian's expression turned solemn immediately. Although Tianjiyu, the county governor of 9 Spectres County, would not make things difficult for Lu Fenggu in consideration of Lu Fenggu's value in the martial competition of the 16 counties. However, Tianjiyu might make things difficult for Lu Fenggu. Perhaps, if Duan Lingtian interceded on Lu Fenggu's behalf, Tianjiyu would not make things difficult for Lu Fenggu for the time being. However, as time went on, it was hard to say. After all, he could not stay in 9 Spectres County and protect Lu Fenggu forever. He doesn't have the floating image celestial talisman on him. Don't worry. Lu Fenggu regained his senses when he heard Duan Lingtian's anxious words. He shook his head and replied to Duan Lingtian. "He doesn't have the floating image celestial talisman on him?" Duan Lingtian was stunned. Duan Lingtian. Before Duan Lingtian could say anything, Qin Yu, who was standing beside Duan Lingtian, said to Duan Lingtian, "The floating image immortal talisman can easily block the power of the talisman. Generally speaking, those who can kill Zhou Tong are great overarching golden celestials. Therefore, it's meaningless to place the floating image celestial talisman on him. Perhaps Your current cultivation base is not that of a great overarching golden celestial, but the attack you can cast is not weaker than an ordinary great overarching golden celestial. In fact, it's even stronger than an ordinary great overarching golden celestial. This can be seen from how you were able to defeat and imprison Zhou Tong. Didn't you intercept Zhou Tong's immortal message talisman? You could even intercept his immortal message talisman. This means that it would be easy for you to intercept the floating image immortal talisman. Qin Yu finished speaking in a single breath. I thought he had a floating image immortal talisman on him, but I didn't notice it. Duan Lingtian heaved a sigh of relief when he heard Qin Yu's words. Bang! At the same time, Lu Fenggu raised his hand and destroyed Zhou Tong's corpse, leaving only a spatial ring lying on the ground. Lu Fenggu raised his hand, and an invisible force pulled the spatial ring over to Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian did not stand on ceremony and accepted the spatial ring without any hesitation. He knew that there was no point in being courteous. Given Lu Fenggu's character, he would never take Zhou Tong's spatial ring for himself. In his opinion, the spatial ring belonged to him, Duan Lingtian. That was the truth. Therefore, he did not stand on ceremony. Come in and have a seat. After destroying Zhou Tong's corpse, Lu Fenggu invited Duan Lingtian and Qin Yu into the main hall of the city lord's mansion. He even invited Duan Lingtian to the main seat. However, Duan Lingtian did not sit on the main seat. Instead, he sat on the lower side of the main seat. Qin Yu followed suit and sat next to Duan Lingtian. Upon seeing this, Lu Fenggu sat opposite Duan Lingtian on the other side of the main seat. Perhaps Duan Lingtian was not a great overarching golden celestial yet. However, in Lu Fenggu's opinion, Duan Lingtian was no different from a great overarching golden celestial. Naturally, Lu Fenggu did not dare to be careless in front of such a person. Moreover, Duan Lingtian had just avenged him. As soon as Lu Fenggu sat down, a gust of wind blew into the main hall. Elder Hong, the leader of the Golden Serpent Guards, had returned. After he entered the main hall, he appeared behind Lu Fenggu and stood quietly, guarding him. Duan Ling, you really gave me a big surprise. After Elder Hong returned, Lu Fenggu looked at Duan Lingtian for a long time before he finally spoke. It took me 2 years. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting, City Lord. Duan Lingtian said with a smile on his face. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, the corners of Qin Yu, Lu Fenggu, and Elder Hong's mouths twitched uncontrollably. When they looked at Duan Lingtian again, they could not help but roll their eyes. A heavenly celestial who had ascended to the spirit overarching heaven for half a year had killed a great overarching golden celestial in just 2 years. If news of this spread out, the entire spirit overarching heaven would be shaken. However, when Duan Lingtian mentioned it, it was as though it was not worth mentioning at all. They could not help but roll their eyes. Duan Lingtian, you don't know this? Half a year ago, Lord City Lord was still worried about your safety. He was afraid you'd die in Zhou Tong's hands before you could grow stronger. Elder Hong sighed as he looked at Duan Lingtian. Who would have thought you would return from the county city of Nine Spectres County with Zhou Tong, who was severely injured by you? You even helped Lord City Lord kill Zhou Tong to avenge young Master Qian. Die in Zhou Tong's hands? Duan Lingtian was stunned again. Soon after, Duan Lingtian learned about what had happened half a year ago from Lu Fenggu. Could it be that Zhou Tong knew that I had only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago? So he deliberately came to the Bloody Spectre City and went to the Silver Dragon Army. However, that Zhou Tong was truly ruthless. In order to spread the news that I had only ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago, he actually nearly annihilated the entire Silver Dragon Army. At this moment, Duan Lingtian finally knew how Zhou Tong knew that he had ascended to the spirit overarching heaven 2.5 years ago. Furthermore, there was another matter that shocked him even more. Because of this, Zhou Tong actually nearly annihilated the entire Silver Dragon Army. Zhou Tong has always been vicious and merciless. It's only because you're stronger than him. If you weren't, you would have likely been under his control. Lu Fenggu said. Duan Lingtian nodded. He deeply agreed with Lu Fenggu's words. Elder Hong, you can withdraw first. I have some words that I wish to speak with Duan Lingtian alone. Although Lu Fenggu's words were directed at Elder Hong, his eyes were trained on Qin Yu, who was sitting next to Duan Lingtian. Yes, Lord City Governor. Elder Hong acknowledged Lu Fenggu's words and withdrew. Lord City Governor, Duan Lingtian, I'll take my leave as well. Qin Yu tactfully withdrew from the Great Hall. For a time, only Duan Lingtian and Lu Fenggu were left in the Great Hall. Lu Fenggu moved like the wind and rose from his seat in just a blink of an eye. He appeared in front of Duan Lingtian and bowed at a 90-degree angle. Lord City Governor, Duan Lingtian was so shocked by Lu Fenggu that he rose to his feet. Duan Lingtian, thank you. Lu Fenggu straightened his back and looked at Duan Lingtian solemnly. City Lord, there's no need for you to thank me. This is a deal we made 2 years ago. You gave me the best cultivation environment in Bloody Spectre City and gave me the best cultivation resources in return for killing Zhou Tong. We don't owe each other anything. Duan Lingtian shook his head. I know that you and I had a deal, Lord. However, this deal, to a certain extent, caused you to suffer a great loss. Lu Fenggu shook his head. There's nothing to lose. Since I agreed to the deal you proposed, it means that I was tempted by the conditions you offered. Duan Lingtian continued to shake his head. No matter what, I still have to say, thank you. Lu Fenggu said stubbornly. Duan Lingtian smiled bitterly. Fortunately, I promised to tell you the clues about the celestial fire I encountered all those years ago after you helped me kill Zhou Tong and avenge my direct disciple. Otherwise, I really wouldn't know how to repay you. Lu Fenggu mentioned the celestial fire that he had mentioned to Duan Lingtian before. This time, Duan Lingtian did not deny Lu Fenggu's words. His eyes lit up, and his breathing quickened. 2 years ago, he had heard about the celestial fire from Lu Fenggu. He knew the celestial fire was extraordinary. It was not as simple as a primitive celestial fire. Now, I'll tell you where I found the celestial fire. It's located in a remote area. Logically speaking, it's impossible for anyone to find it. Lu Fenggu looked at Duan Lingtian before he added, naturally, we can't rule out the possibility that someone has discovered that place. You have to be mentally prepared so you won't be surprised when you discover it. All right. Duan Lingtian nodded. Soon after, Duan Lingtian learned the location of the celestial fire from Lu Fenggu. It was located in another direction of the county city of 9 Spectres County. If Duan Lingtian wanted to go there, he would have to return to the county city of 9 Spectres County first. City Governor, if there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first. After learning about the location of the celestial fire, Duan Lingtian did not want to stay in Bloody Spectre City any longer. He was eager to find the celestial fire. It was as though he was afraid someone would beat him to it. All right. Lu Fenggu nodded. He could understand how Duan Lingtian felt at this moment. However, before Duan Lingtian left, he still warned Duan Lingtian with a solemn expression. Chapter 2658. Duan Lingtian could clearly feel the change in Lu Fenggu's attitude toward him. Even the way Lu Fenggu addressed him had changed. It was not difficult for Duan Lingtian to guess the reason for such a change. It must be because his current strength was on par with a great overarching golden celestial now. In Lu Fenggu's eyes, Duan Lingtian was no different from a great overarching golden celestial. Duan Lingtian, why are you in such a hurry to go back? It's rare for you to come back, aren't you going to stay for a few more days? Qin Yu asked Duan Lingtian curiously after they left Bloody Spectre City. He felt Duan Lingtian was in too much of a hurry. The martial competition of the 16 counties will be held in King Qin's mansion in a year's time. In the following year, I'd like to spend more time cultivating. Duan Lingtian did not mention the celestial fire to Qin Yu. He simply made up an excuse and said he was in a hurry to return to the county city of 9 Spectres County to cultivate. Martial competition of the 16 counties? Qin Yu was stunned when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Then he smiled wryly and said, I almost forgot about it if you didn't mention it. However, with your current strength, Who's going to be a match for you in the martial competition of the 16 counties? After all, one of the conditions to participate in the martial competition of the 16 counties is that the participants can't be more than 100 years old. Let alone the entire King Qin's mansion. I don't think anyone under the age of 100 is a match for you in the entire Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom, right? Qin said. He had witnessed Duan Lingtian's strength with his own eyes. Perhaps, Duan Lingtian's cultivation base had not reached the level of a great overarching golden celestial, but his strength was on par with an ordinary great overarching golden celestial. Even Zhou Tong, the first revered elder of the county governor's mansion, who was a yellow-rank great overarching golden celestial, had died in Duan Lingtian's hands. In addition, Duan Lingtian also had a soul defense high-grade immortal artifact, which allowed him to be unafraid of the soul attack of a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal. Because of this, it also meant that Duan Lingtian had a strength that was not weaker than a Golden Immortal, and it was enough to crush almost all the existences at the Golden Immortal level. Even in the entire Cloudy Rock Celestial Kingdom, they had never heard of such a thing before. Who could break through to the great overarching Golden Celestial stage before the age of 100? Nothing is absolute. After hearing Qin Yu's words, Duan Lingtian realized the flaw in his excuse and quickly tried to remedy it. As the saying goes, there is always someone better than you. Until the end, who can be sure that there won't be someone who is better than me in the martial competition of the 16 counties? Once Duan Lingtian said those words, Qin Yu immediately grew silent. Even so, he still felt that it was unlikely for such a person to exist. However, just as Duan Lingtian had said, he did not dare to be 100% certain until the end. There would not be anyone stronger than Duan Lingtian in the martial competition of the 16 counties. They did not speak for the rest of the journey. Duan Lingtian and Qin Yu successfully returned to the county city of Nine Spectres County after dealing with the two groups of people who tried to stop them. On the other hand, those two groups of ignorant people had become dead souls under Duan Lingtian's sword. Qin Yu, I still have some matters to attend to. You can return to the county governor's mansion first. After returning to the county city, Duan Lingtian bid farewell to Qin Yu. Before Qin Yu could react, Duan Lingtian had already disappeared from Qin Yu's sight. Although Qin Yu did not know why Duan Lingtian left, he could tell that Duan Lingtian did not want him to follow him. Therefore, he tactfully returned to the county governor's mansion alone to cultivate in the stone chamber in the latent dragon abyss. Now that Zhou Fei is dead, his cultivation stone room is mine. After returning to the county governor's mansion, Qin Yu's eyes lit up when he thought about this. In the latent dragon abyss, Zhou Fei's stone chamber was second only to Duan Lingtian's. I heard that revered elder Zhou Tong died not long after Zhou Fei died. Is this true? Isn't revered elder Zhou Tong a great overarching golden celestial? Qin Yu heard a surprised voice on his way back to the latent dragon abyss after he entered the county governor's mansion. He turned around and saw 3 guards from the county governor's mansion whispering to each other as they walked side by side. It seems like the county governor's mansion already knows about Zhou Fei and Zhou Tong's deaths. However, this is normal. After all, they must have stored soul pearls in the county governor's mansion. The county governor must have Zhou Tong's soul pearl as well. If Zhou Tong's soul pearl breaks, the county governor will know immediately. Qin Yu thought to himself, revered elder Zhou Tong has died? Who did you hear this from? It seems like revered elder Zhou Tong has died. The 2 elders from the county governor's mansion accidentally leaked the news when they were talking. If revered elder Zhou Tong has really died, it means the person who killed him must be a great overarching golden celestial. There are only 2 great overarching golden celestials in the 9 Spectres County. Apart from revered elder Zhou Tong, there's only Lord County Governor. That person is definitely not from the 9 Spectres County. I just don't know why he killed revered elder Zhou Tong. The 3 guards from the county governor's mansion whispered to each other as they walked. Their voices gradually became softer as they walked further away from Qin Yu. Not from the 9 Spectres County? Qin Yu smiled faintly. If the 3 guards were to find out that revered elder Zhou Tong had died in the hands of Duan Lingtian, their jaws would probably drop to the ground. In the main hall of the county governor's mansion. Lord County Governor, have you found out who killed revered elder Zhou Tong? Zheng Qiu asked in a hushed voice as he looked at Tian Jiyu, the county governor of the 9 Spectres County. The other elders standing next to Zheng Qiu turned to look at Tian Jiyu. They wanted to know if the county governor of the 9 Spectres County had found out who killed their number 1 revered elder Zhou Tong. Tian Jiyu shook his head. Tian Jiyu shook his head with a dark expression on his face. The person who killed revered elder Zhou Tong is clearly much stronger than him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have failed to send a communication celestial talisman back. The only thing we're certain of is that revered elder Zhou Tong was killed not long after Zhou Fei's death. Even if they weren't killed by the same person, they must have been killed by the same group of people. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so coincidental. Tian Jiyu continued to speak. Zheng Qiu and the other elders nodded in agreement upon hearing Tian Jiyu's words. Indeed, it was impossible for it to be so coincidental. Zhou Tong's foster son had died not long ago, and his foster father had died as well. Their deaths must be closely related to each other. Lord County Governor. At this moment, one of the elders looked at Tian Jiyu and said, "We don't know when revered elder Zhou Tong left the county governor's mansion. However, I did find out that when Zhou Fei left the county governor's mansion, there were 2 people in the latent dragon abyss who had left the county governor's mansion before him." Tian Jiyu asked in a deep voice. Duan Ling Tian and Qin Yu. The inner house elder continued. Tian Jiyu laughed when he heard the elder's words. "What? Are you trying to say that revered elder Zhou Tong and revered elder Zhou Fei's deaths have something to do with them? I'm not sure about that. I just think it's a coincidence." Coincidentally, Zhou Fei and Duan Lingtian had a feud. The elder continued to speak. Zhou Fei hated Duan Lingtian, but elder Zhou Tong had already made up his mind to groom Duan Lingtian 1.5 years ago so that Duan Lingtian would shine in the martial competition of the 16 counties that will be held in King Qin's mansion a year later. Even if Zhou Fei hated Duan Lingtian, he didn't have the strength or the courage to provoke Duan Lingtian. Tian Jiyu said nonchalantly. As for Qin Yu, although he came from Bloody Spectre City with Duan Lingtian, there's no enmity between him and Zhou Fei. Moreover, with his strength, it's impossible for him to kill Zhou Fei. Tian Jiyu continued to speak. However, other than the 2 of them, I really don't know how to investigate this matter. The inner mansion elder smiled wryly. As he reached the end of his sentence, his eyes flashed and he carefully asked, "Lord Prefectural Governor, should we investigate them?" "It's useless to investigate them. There's no need for that," Tian Jiyu said as he shook his head. Naturally, the reason Tian Jiyu made such a decision was because Duan Lingtian was Duan Lingtian's only hope. Duan Lingtian was his hope of obtaining the mediocre celestial pill, the great overarching pill. He did not want to disturb Duan Lingtian because of this matter. Otherwise, even if he did not suspect Duan Lingtian had anything to do with Zhou Fei and Zhou Tong's deaths, he would still investigate Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian was unaware that he had brushed past the county governor's estate's investigation into Zhou Fei and Zhou Tong's deaths. Naturally, even if he knew, he would not care. In his opinion, even if the county governor's estate investigated him, they would not be able to find anything. Since the Silverworm army in Bloody Spectre City was almost annihilated by Zhou Tong, the only people who could confirm his identity were Lu Fenggu, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City, Elder Hong, the leader of the Golden Serpent Guards, and Qin Yu. He believed the 3 of them would not betray him. Moreover, even if the 3 of them betrayed him, they would not be able to provide any evidence to prove he was capable of killing Zhou Tong. Taking 10,000 steps back, even if Tian Jiyu, the county governor of 9 Spectres County, could confirm he was the one who killed Zhou Tong, Tian Jiyu would not make things difficult for him before the martial competition of the 16 counties in King Qin's mansion ended. As for whether Tian Jiyu would still be able to make things difficult for him after the martial competition of the 16 counties ended, that was another matter. In the opposite direction of 9 Spectres County's Bloody Spectre City, there was a vast mountain range about 100,000 miles away from the Bloody Spectre City. Standing in the air above the mountain range, one could only see towering mountains and precipitous ridges. If City Governor Lu didn't tell me the exact location of the celestial fire, even if I knew it was here, with my current divine consciousness, I wouldn't be able to find it even if I searched for dozens or hundreds of years, Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Chapter 2659. With Governor Lu's reminder, it won't be difficult for me to locate the celestial fire. Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed as he looked in a certain direction. At the same time, an excited expression flashed across the depths of his eyes, appearing exceptionally conspicuous. It's over there. Duan Lingtian followed the direction Lu Fenggu had told him and arrived at the foot of an inconspicuous mountain in just a blink of an eye. He hovered in the air and circled around the foot of the mountain. Finally, he stopped at the east side of the mountain. The concealment formation set up by Governor Lu is still here. This means no one has come here since he discovered this place. Duan Lingtian muttered to himself as he extended his divine consciousness and looked at the dense forest at the foot of the mountain. Swoosh! Almost as soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, his body moved as though he had transformed into a gust of wind that blew toward the dense forest that his eyes were locked on. When his body came into contact with the dense forest, he was not obstructed at all. In fact, it was as though he knew how to pass through walls. He passed through the dense forest without leaving any traces behind. It was as though the dense forest had swallowed him whole. The dense forest was still the same. From the outside, one would not be able to see any changes. The dense forest was created by the concealment formation Lu Fenggu, the city governor of Bloody Spectre City, had left behind. Duan Lingtian, who had seen through the concealment formation, could pass through it as though he was walking through air. After passing through the dense forest that was transformed from the concealment formation, Duan Lingtian entered a cave at the foot of the mountain. Everything that entered his eyes was pitch black, and the place he stepped on was filled with potholes. There were also many puddles with a foul stench. When Duan Lingtian circulated his celestial origin energy, he seemed to have transformed into a dazzling sun that illuminated the entire cave. Bang! When Duan Lingtian raised his hand, a palm seal formed from his celestial origin energy shot out and landed on the wall of the cave. Boom! Boom! Rumble! When Duan Lingtian's palm landed on one side of the cave wall, the wall suddenly collapsed, revealing a deep passageway that led to an unknown destination. It was like a mysterious giant beast with its mouth wide open, waiting for food to come to it. According to City Governor Lu, this passage leads to the depths of the ground. I can see the celestial fire in the depths of the ground. Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed as he entered the passage. Immediately, the originally pitch-black passageway became brighter. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was like an extra-large luminous pearl that could illuminate the darkness. Duan Lingtian did not encounter any obstacles as he walked along the passage. After all, the celestial fire was not placed there by someone. Therefore, there were no tests left behind. Duan Lingtian walked down the passage. After about half an hour, he finally arrived at the end of the passage. We're here. Looking at the dusky light at the end of the tunnel, Duan Lingtian's eyes suddenly lit up. They were like two bright stars in the night sky, incomparably gorgeous. Duan Lingtian had heard from the city lord of Bloody Spectre City, Lu Fenggu, that the city lord of Bloody Spectre City had told him about the Blood Spectre City. The immortal fire here was gray in color. As for whether it was a celestial fire that could be used to refine pills or forge weapons, he was not sure. Bang! Seeing the gray flames at the end of the tunnel and realizing that he had arrived at his destination, Duan Lingtian suddenly exerted force in his legs and stomped on the ground. In the blink of an eye, he had already left the tunnel under his feet. After leaving the passage, Duan Lingtian found himself in a huge cave. In this spacious cavern, there were all sorts of crushed stones suspended in the air by a mysterious force. Moreover, these crushed stones were of different sizes. The small ones were only the size of a grain of rice, while the big ones were the size of a bed. The crushed stones that were the size of a grain of rice were more like a grain of sand. Sand and stones were flying everywhere. This was the first thought that appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind as soon as he entered the cavern. This place was like a world of flying sand and stones. That's a celestial fire? At the same time, Duan Lingtian's gaze pierced through the flying sand and stones in the cavern and landed on a ball of gray flame that was suspended in the air in the middle of the cavern. As soon as his gaze landed on it, it was difficult for him to look away. This was Duan Lingtian's first time seeing a flame of this color. The gray flame hovered in the air like the core of the entire cave. The sand and rocks in the cave also revolved around it, forming a cycle that could be followed. Moreover, at this moment, when Duan Lingtian's gaze landed on the gray flame, it was as though his gaze had sunk into a quagmire. There seemed to be an inexplicable attraction on the gray flame that caused Duan Lingtian's consciousness to sink into it, making it difficult for him to extricate himself. It was not until the defective metal piece beside Duan Lingtian's soul shone brightly and shrouded his soul that he finally regained his senses in shock. His gaze also left the gray flame. This celestial fire is really strange. After he shifted his gaze away from the gray flame, Duan Lingtian could not help but gasp. Earlier, if the defective metal piece on the side of his soul had not shone brightly, it was as though a bucket of cold water had been poured on him. Perhaps he would never be able to extricate himself from the gray flame. Before I came here, I didn't hear from City Governor Lu that the celestial fire can trap one's consciousness, Duan Lingtian thought to himself. It was precisely because Lu Fenggu had not mentioned this to him that he was caught off guard when he looked at the celestial fire. As a result, he was unable to extricate himself from it. I don't think City Governor Lu knew this would happen. Perhaps, it's because my soul isn't strong enough that I'm in danger of being trapped in the celestial fire. After all, my soul is only at the level of a yellow sun-golden celestial, far from City Governor Lu's level when he first discovered the celestial fire. Duan Lingtian trusted Lu Fenggu's character. For this reason, he did not suspect Lu Fenggu had intentionally concealed this matter from him. Instead, he guessed it had something to do with his soul. In fact, Duan Lingtian was right. Indeed, the reason he was in such a predicament was because his soul was too weak. According to City Governor Lu, if one tries to get close to the celestial fire, they'll definitely be attacked by the sand and rocks in the cave. At that time, City Governor Lu had no choice but to return empty-handed because he couldn't break through the sand and rocks. Unknowingly, Duan Lingtian's eyes were trained on the sand and rocks that surrounded the gray celestial fire. The sand and pebbles circled the celestial fire in an orderly manner, forming a cycle that could be followed. It was like a guardian deity that was guarding the celestial fire dutifully. All of a sudden, Duan Lingtian's eyes turned cold without any warning. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The sound of sword whistling in the air rang in the air. Duan Lingtian had used all the techniques he had at his disposal. With just a thought, he activated the Devata artifact, the 7 orifices exquisite sword, and formed a dazzling 7-colored sword formation. As soon as the 7-colored sword formation appeared, it shrouded Duan Lingtian and brought him toward the gray celestial fire at an extremely fast speed. With the celestial fire in front of him, Duan Lingtian did not waste any time. He used all his strength to obtain the celestial fire. Before he left Bloody Spectre City, he had asked Lu Fenggu about the method to obtain the celestial fire. For this reason, Lu Fenggu had given him a memory celestial talisman that contained information about the method to obtain the celestial fire. In order to obtain the celestial fire, apart from suppressing it with one's attacks, one must also communicate with it with one's divine consciousness. When the celestial fire is completely suppressed, one must communicate with it using one's divine consciousness to tame it. After all, it doesn't have complete intelligence. It's still unenlightened. When Duan Lingtian controlled the 7-color sword formation, he seemed to have transformed into a ghost as he charged toward the gray flame. This was the celestial fire that Duan Lingtian had come for. Bush, 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 bush. When Duan Lingtian charged toward the gray celestial fire with the 7-colored sword formation, the sand and pebbles that were circling the 7-colored sword formation suddenly became restless. The sand that filled the sky bore the brunt of the impact. It was as though it had transformed into a sandstorm that swept towards Duan Lingtian. The sandstorm obstructed Duan Lingtian's vision. All he could see was the sand and pebbles. Moreover, Duan Lingtian could clearly sense a powerful attack coming from the sandstorm. It was so powerful that it was comparable to Zhou Tong, the former first revered elder of the county governor's estate in the Nine Spectres County, when he unleashed his full strength. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. While Duan Lingtian was being attacked by the sandstorm, a deafening sound rang in the air. Initially, Duan Lingtian could only hear the sound. However, after a while, he could clearly see the sandstorm. In the sandstorm in front of him, he could vaguely see pieces of rocks, big and small, like meteorites falling from space, whizzing toward him together with the sandstorm. Their speed was even faster than the sandstorm. This attack is even more powerful than Zhou Tong's attack. Chapter 2660. Boom, 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 boom. In just a blink of an eye, the seven-colored sword ray that was flying with Duan Lingtian was the first to collide with a pile of meteorite-like rocks that were flying toward them. The commotion was so great that it seemed to shake the heavens and earth. Boom. Rumble. Waves of rolling air waves accompanied by powerful shock waves swept out and slammed into the surroundings of the cave, causing the entire cave to shake as if a violent earthquake had occurred. At this moment, Duan Lingtian, who was shrouded by the seven-colored sword ray, was also shaken to the point his body trembled violently. He felt his internal organs churning as a sweet taste rose from the depths of his throat. Barf! Duan Lingtian's body trembled violently a few more times before he spat out a mouthful of blood. His blood splattered across the sky. It was dazzling. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Just when Duan Lingtian felt the vital energy and blood in his body churning and was about to spit out another mouthful of blood, the force of the sandstorm that was formed from the flying sand that filled the sky had arrived as well. It merged with the force of the rocks and whistled over once again. Boom, 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 boom. Another series of earth-shattering noises reverberated in the air. This time, the seven-colored sword formation around Duan Lingtian's body dimmed from the impact. Moreover, the sword formation's radiance dimmed even more as the two forces continued to collide with each other. Bang, 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 bang. As the sword array dimmed, Duan Lingtian's body was hit again and again. It was as though he had turned into a drum that was constantly being beaten. Barf, barf. Blood gushed out of Duan Lingtian's mouth as though it was free. At the same time, the celestial origin energy in his body that was supporting the seven-colored sword formation was being depleted at an alarming rate. However, despite the rapid depletion of his celestial origin energy, the two forces that were attacking him were even more powerful. They continued to break down Duan Lingtian's defenses. Based on the situation, it would not take long before the forces completely destroyed Duan Lingtian's seven-colored sword array and landed on Duan Lingtian. At that time, Duan Lingtian would definitely die. After all, Duan Lingtian's injuries were worsening. In the end, his consciousness began to blur. He could only rely on his steel-like will to maintain his consciousness as he numbly mobilized the celestial origin energy in his body that was dwindling. Although Duan Lingtian had been using the assist-type divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic, to rapidly absorb the heaven and earth spirit energy in his surroundings and convert it into celestial origin energy, he could not keep up with the celestial origin energy at all. Don't tell me. I, Duan Lingtian, am going to die here today? At this moment, Duan Lingtian's heart was filled with despair. At the same time, he felt completely disheartened. After all, even if he had unleashed his full strength and used the Devata artifact, the Seven Orifices exquisite sword, he still could not block the two forces that were attacking him. The combined force of the two forces was so powerful that it was beyond what he could endure. If I'd known this would happen, I wouldn't have been so careless. According to City Governor Lu, he was trying to slowly obtain the celestial fire when he was in the cavern. During that process, the blows he received became greater and greater. In the end, he felt that he was powerless and powerless, so he chose to give up. A bitter expression could be seen on Duan Lingtian's face when he thought about this. Lu Fenggu had clearly told him this before, but he did not pay much attention to it. He only wanted to use his full strength to resist the power protecting the celestial fire and obtain it as soon as possible. Now, he realized he had been careless. The price of carelessness was death. Moreover, he was getting closer and closer to death. What kind of celestial fire is this? If it's just a low-grade celestial fire, no matter how rare and special it is, with my current strength, it's easy for me to obtain it. At this moment, Duan Lingtian realized the gray flame was not as simple as it seemed. He was certain that it was not just a primitive celestial fire. It was impossible for the gray flame to be a primitive celestial fire. The force protecting the primitive celestial fire was not strong enough to force him to such a state. Don't tell me I, Duan Lingnan, will have to pay for my carelessness and die here today? When the last bit of celestial origin energy in his body was depleted, Duan Lingtian felt a destructive force surging toward him. Despair and regret filled his heart. He regretted his carelessness. If God gave him a second chance, he would be as careful as Lu Fenggu had been in the past. Duan Lingnan, although you're not any weaker than an ordinary great overarching golden celestial, I hope you'll know your limits when you reach that place. If you can't, you can wait until you've become stronger before you try to obtain the celestial fire. He still remembered Lu Fenggu's words before he left Bloody Spectre City. However, he did not take it to heart at that time. He thought it would be easy for him to obtain the celestial fire since he possessed strength comparable to a great overarching golden celestial and could even defeat Zhou Tong, the strongest revered elder in the county governor's estate. He did not expect he would fail miserably at such a crucial moment. Boom, 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 boom. A series of explosions rang in the air as the force of the flying sand and pebbles shrouded Duan Lingtian's body like a flash flood. He did not even have time to think before he lost consciousness. At the instant Duan Lingtian lost consciousness, the force of the flying sand and pebbles destroyed his robe before it landed on his naked body. It was as though it was going to blast him into pieces. At this critical juncture, Lin Fan's eyes widened. A faint mystic light rose from Duan Lingtian's body. The force of the flying sand and pebbles seemed to have encountered an indestructible barrier and gradually dissipated. In the end, the force of the flying sand and pebbles dissipated. Duan Lingtian, who was completely naked and unconscious, should have fallen to the ground. However, at this moment, Duan Lingtian, who was shrouded in a mysterious mystic light, stood there with his eyes closed. He turned his body slightly to face the gray flame hovering in the middle of the cave. The sound of wind whistling in the air could be heard as a piece of metal that seemed to be badly damaged appeared above Duan Lingtian, who was still standing with the support of the profound light that was shrouding him. A layer of mystic light shone from the incomplete piece of metal. It was similar to the mystic light that rose from Duan Lingtian's body when he was unconscious. Clearly, Duan Lingtian's current condition had something to do with the incomplete piece of metal. If Duan Lingtian was still awake and saw this scene, he would surely go pale with fright. Wasn't this incomplete piece of metal the one that had been guarding his soul ever since he ascended to the spirit overarching heaven? He had brought the incomplete piece of metal from the mundane realm. Its origin was mysterious. Moreover, it was a fusion of two items. One of them was the jade token given to him by Xia Jie, Ker's third uncle from the divine offering land. The other item was the strange stone he had found near his hometown, Fresh Breeze Town, on Cloud Continent. Chaos Divine Flame. I didn't expect to meet an old friend like you here. A loud and vigorous voice suddenly resounded in the cave. It seemed to come from all directions like a sudden clap of thunder. When the voice resonated in the air, the profound light on the defective metal piece above the unconscious Duan Lingtian's head began to shine brighter and brighter. When the loud and energetic voice finally stopped, the mystic light finally returned to normal. Profound divine metal. As an old voice resonated in the air, the gray flame that was hovering in the middle of the cavern suddenly soared. The gray flame illuminated the entire cavern, causing Duan Lingtian's figure to appear indistinctly. This was because Duan Lingtian was currently unconscious. Otherwise, he would have been shocked. This was because the two voices that suddenly resounded in the cave came from the incomplete metal piece and the ball of gray flames. It seemed like the two of them were communicating with words. Moreover, it's a profound divine metal in its second form. Is this young man your host? The gray flame, which was called the primal chaos divine flame, by the incomplete metal piece, soared. The old and aged voice that had sounded earlier also sounded once again. The voice filled the entire cave. That's right. The broken metal piece known as the profound divine gold radiated with a raging light. The loud and energetic voice that had sounded before rang out once again. If both of us didn't enter our second form, we wouldn't have been able to awaken and communicate with each other. What do you think? Are you interested in serving the same master as me? The profound divine metal asked again. Its voice was filled with temptation. Without waiting for the chaos divine flame's reply, Duan Ling Tian continued to say, "If I'm not mistaken, before you transformed into your second form, you must have found a host as well. However, that host was unable to withstand your second form, and his body was incinerated by you." That's right. The chaos divine flame sighed. Ordinary celestials can't control my second form. Even your host's body can't do it. His current body isn't strong enough to control you in your second form. However, don't forget he still has me. The profound divine metal said. My consciousness can't be awakened for too long. It's up to you. If you're willing to serve the same master as me, I'll use my body to contain and restrain you so you won't burn his body to ashes. The profound divine metal continued to speak with a hint of urgency in its voice. Chapter 2661. Upon hearing the profound divine metal's words, the chaos divine flame fell silent for a moment. If I'm not mistaken, your consciousness won't be awakened for long. Are you going to stay here and wait for the next host to appear? The profound divine metal continued to speak. Let's not talk about how long you'll have to wait for the next suitable host. Even if you manage to wait until the next host arrives, are you sure you won't be devoured and assimilated by the other hosts of the chaos divine flame? Once you are devoured and assimilated, your consciousness will be replaced by the consciousness of the other primal chaos divine flames. You might even be annihilated completely. Is that what you want to see? I know the chaos divine flame is arrogant and doesn't want to serve the same host as the other 5 divine elements. However, is the profound divine metal not arrogant as well? If I'm not worried I'll be devoured and assimilated by the other profound divine metal hosts, do you think I'll persuade you to serve the same host as me? As long as the two of us serve the same host, we won't have to worry about being devoured and assimilated by the third form profound divine metal or the third form chaos divine flame hosts. In fact, we can easily devour and assimilate the second form profound divine metal and the second form chaos divine flame. The profound divine metal's voice grew softer and softer as it spoke. Think about it yourself. My consciousness is about to fall asleep. The profound divine metal's voice grew softer and softer before it finally disappeared. After that, the profound divine metal that was hovering above Duan Lingtian's head dimmed before it turned into a streak of light and entered Duan Lingtian's body. In the next moment, the profound divine metal that was hovering above Duan Lingtian's body gradually faded away. Bang! After the profound divine metal withdrew its profound divine metal, Duan Lingtian, who was unconscious, fell to the ground with a dull thud. After Duan Lingtian fell to the ground, the gray flame that was hovering in the middle of the cavern rose and rose a few times before it let out a long sigh. Forget it. It has a point. As soon as the old voice fell, the gray flame in the middle of the cavern turned into a streak of gray lightning and shot toward Duan Lingtian, who was unconscious on the ground before it merged with Duan Lingtian's body. For a time, Duan Lingtian was the only one left in the cavern. As for the sand and pebbles in the cave, they disappeared as soon as the gray flame, the chaos divine flame, entered Duan Lingtian's body. It was as though they were never there in the first place. The cavern was silent. Time passed. About a day and a night later, Duan Lingtian, who seemed to have fallen asleep, finally stirred. Ugh! In his half-asleep state, Duan Lingtian regained his consciousness. Although it was a little blurry, he could not help but feel excited. I'm not dead? I'm not dead? However, when he opened his eyes and looked at his surroundings, his expression changed. So, I'm dreaming. A bitter smile appeared on Duan Lingtian's face when his expression changed. His heart was filled with disappointment. The reason he felt like he was dreaming was because when he woke up, apart from the fact that he was still in the cavern, he also noticed that the sand and pebbles in the cavern had disappeared. In particular, the gray flame was nowhere to be seen. He could clearly remember. Before he lost consciousness, he could not resist the power of the sand and pebbles no matter how hard he tried. In the end, he was shrouded by the power of the sand and pebbles. As for what happened after that, he couldn't remember. However, he felt like he was going to die at that time. Now that he had regained consciousness and thought he was still alive, he realized the gray flame was gone. The sand and pebbles were gone as well. What did this mean? Other than that he was dreaming, it did not seem to mean anything else. Just when Duan Lingtian thought he was dreaming and felt a little disappointed, he suddenly sensed something. His heart skipped a beat, and he could not help but feel goosebumps all over his body. This was because he could clearly feel that his soul was burning. His soul suddenly felt like it was being burned, as if it was being refined by flames. When Duan Lingtian looked inside his body, he could not help but be stunned. He could clearly see that, on the side of his soul, wisps of gray flames were constantly emitting from the dimly lit defective metal piece. Although the flames were small, they contained a destructive aura that seemed to be able to burn and destroy everything. In addition, the wisps of gray flames that emerged from the incomplete metal piece and the aura that was inadvertently revealed by the flames gave him a very familiar feeling. This aura, isn't it from the gray celestial fire from before? While Duan Lingtian's emotions surged, he could not help but gasp. At this moment, he was 100% certain. The gray flame that was emitting from the defective metal piece that was hovering on the side of his soul was no different from the celestial fire he wanted to obtain before he fainted. The ball of flame in this cave is gone, and now, the same flame has emerged from this damaged piece of metal on the side of my soul. Is this not a dream? Am I really not dead? But, if I didn't die, why would that ball of flame be in that defective piece of metal? Duan Lingtian had too many questions in his heart. In his bewilderment, Duan Lingtian extended his hand towards his cheek. Although the distance between Duan Lingtian's hand and his cheek was very close, at this moment, it seemed very far away to Duan Lingtian. His hand trembled as it moved closer to his cheek. 10 breaths had passed, but he still had not touched his cheek. If someone were to look at Duan Lingtian's hand, they would be able to see that his hand was trembling. Duan Lingtian's hand was trembling, and it was trembling violently. If this isn't a dream, then everyone's happy. However, if this is a dream, then, am I really dead? At this moment, Duan Lingtian did not dare to face the truth. He was worried he was really dreaming. In the end, Duan Lingtian took a deep breath, and his trembling hand suddenly tensed up. He directly extended his hand to the side of his cheek and pinched it. Duan Lingtian's expression tensed up as a hint of nervousness appeared in his eyes when he felt the pain on his face. He raised an eyebrow as a smile of joy appeared on his face. It was as though he had just survived a calamity. The pain on his face seemed to be telling him that he was not dreaming. He wasn't dreaming. This isn't a dream. I'm not dreaming. I'm not dead. I'm really not dead. After confirming he was not dead, Duan Lingtian was as excited as a child. The word, ecstatic, was not enough to describe how he felt at this moment. This feeling of surviving a calamity made him feel as if he had been reborn once again. Approximately 15 minutes later, Duan Lingtian's excited mood gradually calmed down. I thought I was going to die and lost consciousness. When I woke up, the celestial fire appeared in the defective metal piece on the side of my soul. The celestial fire that was protecting the celestial fire had also disappeared. I'm certain I didn't take the celestial fire. At that time, it was difficult for me to even protect myself, let alone take the celestial fire. However, I'm not dead. The celestial fire is indeed in the defective metal piece. After calming down, Duan Lingtian became unusually calm. After a while, he came to a conclusion. The defective metal piece had something to do with his survival and the appearance of the celestial fire in his body. What's this defective metal piece? Although Duan Lingtian knew the defective metal piece on the side of his soul that could be used as a soul defense celestial weapon was not ordinary, he did not know what it was or what it could be used for apart from protecting his soul. And today, he discovered the use of this defective piece of iron. It could be used to take the celestial fire. Furthermore, in the process of collecting the immortal fire, it seemed to be able to protect him and save his life when the power of the immortal fire was about to kill him. What are you? Unknowingly, Duan Lingtian's attention was completely concentrated on the defective metal piece. The damaged metal piece had once again displayed its mysteries before him. The defective metal piece is the result of the fusion of that strange stone and the jade token given to me by Ker's third uncle, Xiajia, a powerhouse from the divine offering land. I brought it from the mundane realm to the Devata realm. After I brought it to the Devata realm, it stayed by my soul to protect my soul. Back then, when Xiajia gave me that jade slip, he only said that the jade slip was very extraordinary. As for its origin, he didn't know. The strangest thing is that after I brought the jade token to my hometown in the mundane realm, the mortal continent's cloud continent, it actually guided me to Fresh Breeze Town, the place where I reincarnated into this life. I found that strange stone near Fresh Breeze Town. Then, the strange stone merged with the jade token given to me by Xiajie and turned into this mysterious defective metal piece. What's the origin of the jade token given to me by Xiajie? And that stone, why is it near Fresh Breeze Town? Is it a coincidence? If it's a coincidence, it's too much of a coincidence, right? Duan Lingtian discovered the more he thought about it, the more confused he became. His confusion seemed endless. Chapter 2662. Forget it, let's not think about it anymore. At the very least, based on the current situation, the defective metal piece is beneficial to me. If it wasn't for it, I might have been dead. Duan Lingtian thought about it for a long time until his head was about to explode. However, he still could not figure it out. Therefore, he decided to stop thinking about it. No matter what, based on the current situation, the defective metal piece was a good thing, not a bad thing. However, although the celestial fire appeared in the defective metal piece, I don't know if I can use it. After Duan Lingtian shifted his attention away from the defective metal piece, he shifted his attention to the gray flame on the defective metal piece. At this moment, he only thought it was a celestial fire used to refine weapons or pills. After taking another deep breath, Duan Lingtian tried to use the gray flame on the defective metal piece according to the method of using the celestial fire that the celestial talisman had taught him. However, he discovered that he had successfully extracted a portion of the gray flame. Why is there only a portion? Duan Lingtian tried his best to use the gray flame on the defective metal piece. However, after a few tries, he could only extract a small portion of the gray flame from the defective metal piece. He could use the celestial fire technique freely. As for the remaining gray flames, he could not use them at all. What's going on? Duan Lingtian was puzzled. After trying for another half an hour, Duan Lingtian realized he could only use a small portion of the gray flame on the defective metal piece. He finally gave up. I wonder if this small portion of gray flame that I've extracted can be used to refine pills or refine weapons. For the time being, I can't tell if the characteristics of this gray flame are suitable for refining pills or forging weapons. With all these questions in mind, Duan Lingtian left the cave and reappeared at the foot of the mountain along the path he came from. Let's return to the county city first. Duan Lingtian's first thought was to return to the county city of Nine Spectres County to search for the medicinal herbs needed to refine the primitive celestial pill, the spirit-nourishing pill. He wanted to see if he could successfully refine the spirit-nourishing pill with the gray flame. The spirit-nourishing pill was an ordinary primitive celestial pill, and its recipe was widely available. Anyone who wanted the recipe could easily obtain it. As for the herbs needed to refine the spirit-nourishing pill, they were only ordinary herbs. Naturally, the ordinary medicinal herbs in the Devata realms were the ordinary medicinal herbs in the Devata realms. The mundane realms might not necessarily have ordinary medicinal herbs in the Devata realms. I'll have to stay here for another year. When Duan Ling Tian returned to the county city of the Nine Spectres County, he looked around in a daze. The martial competition of the 16 counties to King Qin's King Qin. Before that, he would go to King Qin's mansion with the other golden celestials under the age of 100 who had been recruited by the county governor of Nine Spectres County. However, once he arrived at King Qin's mansion, he did not plan to return. Whether it was the cultivation environment or the cultivation resources, the Nine Spectres County could not compare to King Qin's mansion. He would be able to raise his cultivation base at a much faster rate in King Qin's mansion. Moreover, he would have the opportunity to obtain higher-grade cultivation methods such as profound-grade cultivation methods. I should look for a medicinal herb shop and buy some herbs first. Duan Ling Tian recalled the time he had spent with Qin Yu in the county city of Nine Spectres County. He arrived at a relatively large medicinal herb shop in the county city of Nine Spectres County and walked in. "Sir, how may I help you?" Duan Ling Tian had only just walked in when an attendant came over to greet him, and he respectfully led Duan Ling Tian in. "Give me a batch of herbs needed to refine the primitive celestial pill, the spirit-nourishing pill." Duan Ling Tian glanced at the attendant and said indifferently, "How many herbs do you want?" The manservant's eyes suddenly lit up. Usually, people who came to buy medicinal herbs would simply buy a certain type of medicinal herb or some other type of medicinal herb. They would use the most primitive method to absorb the medicinal efficacy of that medicinal herb or those medicinal herbs. People who came to the county city of Nine Spectres County to buy herbs were as rare as phoenix feathers and qilin horns. After all, only celestial alchemists were capable of refining pills. In the entire Nine Spectres County, let alone the county city of Nine Spectres County, the only celestial alchemists who were known to be primitive celestial alchemists were the county governor's mansion and one of the clans in the county city. There were 2 primitive celestial alchemists in the county governor's mansion. The other clan had 1 primitive celestial alchemist. At this moment, the attendant was certain the purple-clad young man before him was from the latter's clan. After all, if the primitive celestial alchemists in the county governor's mansion needed herbs, all they had to do was send someone from the county governor's mansion to the county governor's mansion. There was no need for the primitive celestial alchemists to make a trip to the county governor's mansion. "I'll take as many as you have." Faced with the attendant's question, Duan Ling Tian frowned slightly before he finally said this. After all, this was his first time refining pills since he came to the Devata realms. Moreover, he did not know if the gray flame he could control would be enough for him to successfully refine pills. It was better to prepare as many herbs as he could. With his current wealth, it would not be difficult for him to buy all the herbs he needed to refine the primitive celestial pill, the spirit-nourishing pill. Gasp! The moment Duan Ling Tian's words left his mouth, the attendant standing in front of him could not help but gasp in shock. Then, he asked Duan Ling Tian in shock, "Sir, is what you said true?" Although the store was not the largest store in the county city of Nine Spectres County, it was not small either. Moreover, the ingredients required to refine the primitive celestial pill, the spirit-nourishing pill, were not something ordinary people could afford. "Of course, I'm serious. Go and prepare the herbs." Duan Ling Tian said impatiently when he heard the attendant's question. How arrogant! Just when the attendant saw that Duan Ling Tian was getting impatient and was about to get the medicinal materials, a cold snort accompanied by a sneer sounded from outside the medicine store. It was getting closer and closer. A young man with a medium build dressed in brocade robes walked into the county city of Nine Spectres County slowly. Behind the young man in embroidered clothes was an expressionless old man. "Young Master Lu." The attendant's eyes lit up immediately when he saw the newcomer. Apart from the county governor's estate, Lu Zuolin was the only son of the current clan leader of the Lu clan in Nine Spectres County who had a primitive celestial alchemist. Lu Zuolin was one of the few prominent clans in Nine Spectres County. "I want 10 sets of herbs to refine the primitive celestial pill, the spirit-nourishing pill," Lu Zuolin said indifferently. He did not even look at Duan Ling Tian from the beginning until the end as he looked at the page boy. Young Master Lu. Upon hearing Lu Zuolin's words, the attendant smiled wryly as he looked at Duan Ling Tian. The herbs to refine the primitive celestial pill, the spirit-nourishing pill, have been bought by this customer. He must be from the Lu clan as well, right? Up until now, the attendant still thought Duan Ling Tian was from the Lu clan. After all, apart from the county governor's estate, the Lu clan was the only clan in Nine Spectres County that had a primitive celestial alchemist. How dare you pretend to be from the Lu clan? As soon as the attendant finished speaking, Lu Zuolin looked at Duan Ling Tian coldly as though he had transformed into a venomous snake that would pounce on Duan Ling Tian at any moment. The Lu clan? Duan Ling Tian was puzzled by Lu Zuolin's words. He said indifferently, "I'm sorry. I've never heard of it." After he finished speaking, Duan Ling Tian ignored the anger in Lu Zuolin's eyes as he looked at the attendant and said impatiently, "Why aren't you going to prepare the herbs? If you're not going to prepare the herbs, I'll go to another shop. You're not the only shop in the county city of Nine Spectres County that has the herbs to refine the spirit-nourishing pill." At this moment, if the attendant still could not tell the purple-clad young man was not from the Lu clan, he might as well bang his head against a wall and commit suicide. "I'm sorry, customer. I'll go right away," the attendant replied to Duan Ling Tian as he looked at Lu Zuolin and said apologetically, "Young Master Lu, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. This customer didn't say he's from the Lu clan. I thought he was from the Lu clan when I saw he wanted to buy the herbs to refine the spirit-nourishing pill." After he finished speaking, the attendant hurriedly went to the warehouse at the back of the shop to prepare the herbs that Duan Ling Tian had requested. "Young Master Lu, I'm sorry. The herbs to refine the spirit-nourishing pill in our shop have already been reserved by this customer. Please look elsewhere." The attendant left these words before he entered the warehouse at the back of the shop. In the attendant's opinion, Lu Zuolin's status was extraordinary. However, their shop was backed by a powerful family that was on par with the Lu clan in Nine Spectres County. Hence, they were not afraid of the Lu clan. To him, making money was the most important thing. Lu Zuolin only wanted 10 sets of herbs to refine the spirit-nourishing pill. On the other hand, Duan Ling Tian wanted all the herbs to refine the spirit-nourishing pill in his shop. There were more than 300 sets of herbs to refine the spirit-nourishing pill in his shop. Moreover, Duan Ling Tian had come first. Lu Zuolin had his own choice of business. Sush. Lu Zuolin's expression darkened when he heard the attendant's words. Although the attendant was like an aunt to him, the attendant was still a shop owner. However, the manservant was still a staff member of this medicinal herb store, and the backer of this medicinal herb store was not someone he could easily provoke. For this reason, as long as the attendant did not intentionally offend him, he would not dare to do anything to him. After all, one had to look at the owner before beating the dog. "Brett, you said you've never heard of the Lu clan?" Chapter 2663. From the moment Lu Zuolin entered, Duan Ling Tian only glanced at him briefly before he stopped looking at him. Even when Lu Zuolin used the Lu clan to threaten him, he still turned a deaf ear to him. Although Duan Ling Tian had not met the Lu clan in the county city of Nine Spectres County, he had heard about it. It was one of the most powerful clans in the county city of Nine Spectres County. It was on par with the Zheng clan, the clan that supported Zheng Qiu. In fact, due to Zheng Qiu, the Zheng clan was even more powerful than the Lu clan. Let alone the Lu clan. Duan Ling Tian was not afraid of the Zheng clan at all. In Duan Ling Tian's eyes, Lu Zuolin, who thought he could do whatever he wanted with the Lu clan behind him, was like a clown who was not worth mentioning at all. For this reason, he did not even bother to look at Lu Zuolin. "How dare you ignore me?" Lu Zuolin was infuriated when he saw Duan Ling Tian ignoring him. Celestial origin energy began to surge out of his body. Lu Zuolin could no longer hold himself back and was about to attack Duan Ling Tian. "May I know who you are?" The expressionless old man behind Lu Zuolin stepped forward and stood in front of Lu Zuolin, preventing Lu Zuolin from making a move. He looked at Duan Ling Tian and asked in a deep voice. At this moment, the expression on the old man's face finally changed. His expression was slightly solemn. A hint of dread could be seen in his eyes. Although he did not know much about the purple-clad young man, since the purple-clad young man was here to buy the herbs required to refine the primitive celestial pill, the spirit-nourishing pill, it meant the purple-clad young man was supported by at least one primitive celestial alchemist. In fact, the purple-clad young man might even be a celestial alchemist himself. Naturally, the old man felt the purple-clad young man was supported by a celestial alchemist. Based on the aura the purple-clad young man was emitting with his divine consciousness, he was certain the purple-clad young man was not more than 100 years old. He had never heard of anyone becoming a celestial alchemist before the age of 100. He had never heard of a primitive celestial alchemist who was younger than 100 years old. He would believe it if someone under the age of 100 was able to obtain the celestial fire. However, if one wanted to successfully refine medicinal pills and become a celestial alchemist, it would take a long time to settle down, even though it was not difficult after obtaining the celestial fire. After all, alchemy techniques and alchemy experience took a long time to become proficient and accumulate. Of course, he also knew in his heart, although he had never heard of a primitive celestial alchemist younger than 100 years old, it did not mean there were no primitive celestial alchemists younger than 100 years old. All he knew was that there were no inferior alchemists under the age of 100 in the Duke of Qin's manor. Someone you can't afford to offend. Duan Lingtian looked deeply at the old man and said, when Lu Zuolin was about to make a move, Duan Lingtian had sensed Lu Zuolin's killing intent. He did not expect Lu Zuolin would be stopped by the old man before he could make a move. Duan Lingtian was rather surprised by this. For this reason, he did not hesitate to answer the old man's question. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, he ignored the old man's grave expression and shifted his gaze to the inside of the medicinal herb shop. Over there, the attendant had just come out with a spatial ring. Dear customer, the medicinal herbs you requested are inside. There are 373 sets of medicinal herbs required to refine the primitive celestial pill, the spirit condensing pill. In our shop, one set of ingredients for the spirit accumulation pill is usually sold for one high-grade immortal stone. Since you've bought so many at once, we'll charge you 370 prominent celestial stones. The attendant looked at Duan Lingtian respectfully as he spoke. Ever since he found out the purple-clad young man was not from the Lu clan, he knew the celestial alchemist behind the purple-clad young man was not one of the three primitive celestial alchemists from the Lu clan and the county governor's estate. Celestial alchemists from outside the county city of Nine Spectres County were either traveling or had business in the county. Regardless of the reason, Lu Zuolin's clan could not afford to offend such a person. 370 prominent celestial stones. Are you able to afford it? Lu Zuolin looked at Duan Lingtian mockingly when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. He's someone you can't afford to offend. It was as though he did not think Duan Lingtian would be able to afford so many prominent celestial stones. 370 prominent celestial stones. That was not a small number. Even in the Lu clan, apart from a few high-ranking officials, not many people could afford to pay so many prominent celestial stones. Here are 400 prominent celestial stones. Duan Lingtian raised his hand and handed a spatial ring to the attendant. Then, he said indifferently, keep the remaining prominent celestial stones for yourself. I'm very satisfied with your hospitality. When Duan Lingtian finished speaking, he inadvertently glanced at Lu Zuolin and the old man standing in front of him. Thank you, sir. Thank you. The moment the manservant heard Duan Lingtian's words, his eyes lit up, and his breathing quickened as he took the spatial ring. This was his first time encountering such a generous guest. That was 30 prominent celestial stones. That's right. After confirming the number of prominent celestial stones in the spatial ring, the attendant handed the spatial ring to Duan Lingtian. After Duan Lingtian claimed ownership of the spatial ring, he glanced inside and nodded. Do you know where I can buy a cauldron used to refine pills? After keeping the spatial ring, Duan Lingtian asked the attendant. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, the attendant, Lu Zuolin, and the old man standing next to Lu Zuolin could not help but twitch their mouths. Based on the purple-clad young man's words, it seemed like he was going to buy a cauldron? You're not planning to refine pills yourself, right? The attendant looked at Duan Lingtian in disbelief before he added, or is it because the celestial alchemist behind you doesn't have a cauldron with him? Do you want to buy one for him? I'll refine pills myself. Duan Lingtian said, just tell me if you know where I can find a cauldron. If you don't, I'll look for one myself. I know. Faced with this generous customer who had given him 30 prominent celestial stones as a tip, the attendant, naturally, told Duan Lingtian everything he knew about the places that sold cauldrons. Apart from that, he also told Duan Lingtian about the place closest to his store that sold cauldrons. Thank you. After finding out where to buy cauldrons, Duan Lingtian greeted the attendant and left the medicinal material store. Humph. After Duan Lingtian left, Lu Zuolin glanced at the attendant coldly before he left the store with the old man. Uncle Li, why don't we do something? Although this fellow has a lot of prominent celestial stones, he doesn't seem old. He isn't that old, which means that his cultivation base isn't that high. Lu Zuolin's eyes flashed coldly as he looked at the old man standing next to him. He's not even 100 years old. The old man replied. Not even 100 years old? Although Lu Zuolin could sense Duan Lingtian's young age, he could not confirm the Duan Lingtian's exact age. Now that he heard the old man saying Duan Lingtian was not even 100 years old, he became excited. Young master, although he's not even 100 years old, based on the 400 prominent celestial stones he casually took out, it's obvious he has an extraordinary background. Moreover, based on his aura, it's obvious he's not an ordinary person. The old man said hesitantly, won't it be too risky for us to make a move on him? Although the old man had followed Lu Zuolin to do this kind of business many times in the past, he was not confident. But this time he felt unsure of himself. The purple-clad young man gave him a feeling that he was not to be trifled with. Don't worry. Lu Zuolin gave the old man a reassuring look. Don't forget, we've never failed before. On the other side, Duan Lingtian passed through the main roads and headed towards the store that sold cauldrons that the attendant in the medicinal materials store told him about. All of a sudden, Duan Lingtian's heart jolted as though he had sensed something. His eyes narrowed into slits as a cold gleam flashed in his eyes. They're following me. What are they trying to do? Duan Lingtian, who originally intended to speed up, did not speed up. Instead, he walked into a small alley. Swoosh, swoosh. Almost at the same time as Duan Lingtian entered the small alley, two figures appeared one after another by his side. They stared at him fiercely like a tiger watching its prey. They were none other than Lu Zuolin and the old man next to him. What are you trying to do? Duan Lingtian asked nonchalantly. He did not even look at Lu Zuolin and the old man when they appeared before him. Brat, you're unlucky to have met me today. Lu Zuolin's expression darkened when he saw Duan Lingtian was still so calm. He said viciously, although I don't know where the celestial alchemist behind you came from, don't even think about leaving this place today. What? You want to keep me here? Duan Lingtian said indifferently. Not only do we want to keep you here, but we also want to kill you. If there's a next life, remember this. Don't show off your wealth. Lu Zuolin sneered. As soon as Lu Zuolin finished speaking, he did not wait for Duan Lingtian's reply before he shouted, Uncle Li, do it. Bang. An earth-shattering explosion rang in the air as soon as Lu Zuolin's voice rang in the air. It was the old man standing behind Duan Lingtian. As his body moved, he made his move at lightning speed. After an earth-shattering explosion, the palm prints that covered the sky and covered the earth were like black clouds pressing down on a city. They covered the sky and covered the sun as they enveloped Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian's eyes turned cold when he saw the old man had made his move. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Chapter 2664. Boom, 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 boom. The palm prints that covered the sky swept toward Duan Lingtian and enveloped him. Almost at the same time as the sword rays whistled out of Duan Lingtian's body, The palm prints landed on Duan Lingtian and collided with the sword rays that whistled out of Duan Lingtian's body. Bang, 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 bang. A series of earth-shattering loud noises reverberated in the air. Rolling airwaves swept out in all directions like the raging waves of the sea. It was as though beasts had awakened from their slumber and were pouncing on their prey. Bush, 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 bush. The earth-shattering noises did not last long before they were covered and suppressed by the swift sword whistles. In the end, they seemed to have completely disappeared. How's this possible? In the distance, the old man who was addressed as Uncle Li by Lu Zuolin could not help but have a change of expression when he saw his full-strength attack was easily defeated by the sword ray that whistled out from the purple-clad young man's body. His originally cloudy eyes were no longer cloudy. It was replaced with fear and remorse. If he still could not realize that he had kicked an iron plate, he would have lived for so many years in vain. "You're seeking death." Duan Lingtian's calm voice sounded in the air. However, when it entered the old man's ears, it was like the Grim Reaper's scythe. Horror dawned on the old man's face. He opened his mouth as though he was about to say something. However, as soon as the old man opened his mouth, before he could open his mouth, the sword rays that whistled out of Duan Lingtian's body transformed into a sword formation that whistled out and enveloped the old man. A rain of blood fell from the sky and dyed the entire alley red. After killing the old man, the sword formation vanished into thin air with just a thought from Duan Lingtian. It was as though it had never appeared before. Lu Zuolin, who had just regained his senses, fell to the ground with a pale face. His entire body trembled violently from fear as he looked at the blood on the ground in the alley. The thick smell of blood entered his nose, causing his lower body to turn cold. Lu Zuolin, who had fallen to the ground, was now sitting in a pool of urine. The thick smell of urine mixed with the thick smell of blood filled the entire alley in just a blink of an eye. "Didn't you say you're not only keeping me alive, but you're going to kill me as well?" Duan Lingtian looked disdainfully at Lu Zuolin, who was so scared that he was about to wet his pants. He said indifferently, "Now that your men are dead, it's your turn." "You?" When Lu Zuolin looked at Lu looked terrified. He looked at Luz. "You can't kill me. If you kill me, the Lu clan. My father is the clan leader of the Lu clan," Lu Zuolin said in a trembling voice. He even mentioned his father, the clan leader of the Lu clan, one of the 5 great clans in the county city of 9 Spectres County. "The Lu clan?" Duan Lingtian smiled when he heard Lu Zuolin's words. "It seems like you're very confident in the Lu clan. Since that's the case, I'll give you a chance to return to the Lu clan." Lu Zuolin was stunned when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. "You're really going to let me return to the Lu clan?" Lu Zuolin's eyes glinted as he looked at Duan Lingtian fearfully. "Not only will I let you return to the Lu clan, but I'll follow you back to the Lu clan as well," Duan Lingtian said. Sush. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, Lu Zuolin's expression changed drastically. He asked in a trembling voice, Who are you?" Although Lu Zuolin was a good-for-nothing, he was not hopelessly stupid. Not only did the purple-clad young man ask him to return to the Lu clan, but he even said he would follow him back to the Lu clan. It was obvious he was not afraid of the Lu clan. At this moment he realized he had kicked an iron plate. Moreover, this iron plate did not seem to be afraid of the Lu clan, one of the 5 great clans in the county city of 9 Spectres County. "If you don't want to return to the Lu clan, I don't mind sending you to hell to accompany that old man." Duan Lingtian's tone turned cold when he heard Lu Zuolin's question. Lu Zuolin was so frightened that his body trembled violently. He hastily stood up and ran out of the alley toward the Lu clan's residence. Many people turned to look at him as he ran. Isn't that Lu Zuolin, the young master of the Lu clan? Why does he look so flustered? Did something happen? I don't know. However, why do I smell urine when he passed by me? Urine? Are you serious? Wherever Lu Zuolin passed, the streets and alleys were filled with similar discussions. No one noticed that in the sky above Lu Zuolin's head, there was a purple figure following Lu Zuolin like a shadow. It followed Lu Zuolin all the way to the Lu family mansion before slowly descending from the sky. Young master? What happened to you? Outside the gate of the Lu family mansion, the guards saw Lu Zuolin's miserable appearance and smelled the strong urine smell coming from Lu Zuolin's body. They were stunned for a moment. This was their first time seeing their young master in such a wretched state. However, Lu Zuolin ignored the guards and entered the Lu clan's residence in a panic. He immediately went to look for his father, the clan leader of Lu clan. "I'll wait for you outside the Lu clan's main hall." Duan Lingtian sent Lu Zuolin a voice transmission while he was looking for his father in a panic. Lu Zuolin's heart trembled in fear. Who is he? Although Lu Zuolin was confident in the Lu clan in the past, at this moment, Duan Lingtian did not seem to be afraid of the Lu clan at all. However, even though he was uncertain, he knew that he had no other choice now. As one of the 5 great clans in the county governor's estate, the Lu clan should have a lot of savings, right? Duan Lingtian muttered to himself as he hovered in the air above the main hall in the Lu clan's residence. It was as though he had his eyes on the Lu clan's wealth. That was indeed the case. Otherwise, Duan Lingtian would not have gone through so much trouble to follow Lu Zuolin to the Lu clan's residence. About 15 minutes later, whoosh, whoosh, the sound of wind whistling could be heard from afar. In just a blink of an eye, 2 figures appeared above the Lu clan's main hall, not far from Duan Lingtian. "Father, it's him." Duan Lingtian, who was resting with his eyes closed, opened his eyes when he heard Lu Zuolin's voice. With just a glance, Duan Lingtian saw Lu Zuolin and a middle-aged man who resembled Lu Zuolin. Compared to Lu Zuolin, this middle-aged man was much calmer. "If my son has offended you in any way, I hope you can forgive him. If you're willing to spare my son's life, I, Lu Dongping, am willing to give you 1,000 prominent celestial stones. What do you think?" The middle-aged man cupped his fists humbly at Duan Lingtian. "Lu Dongping? You're the clan leader of the Lu clan?" Duan Lingtian asked indifferently. Lu Dongping nodded. "You're smarter than your son," Duan Lingtian said as he looked at Lu Dongping meaningfully. "Thank you for the compliment." Lu Dongping smiled awkwardly. "If your son only wants my medicinal herbs and celestial stones and has no intention of taking my life, 1,000 prominent celestial stones is barely enough." Duan Lingtian glanced at Lu Zuolin indifferently before his voice turned cold. "However, he wants to take my life. I have a bad habit. If someone wants to take my life, I'll take their life if I don't die." Clan leader Lu, do you think your son's life is only worth 1,000 prominent celestial stones? Duan Lingtian asked as he shifted his gaze from Lu Zuolin to Lu Dongping. He stared at Lu Dongping intently. "Then, how many celestial stones do you want?" Lu Dongping's face twitched slightly when he said this. A hint of anger could be seen in the depths of his eyes, but he had been suppressing it. Although he did not know the background of this purple-clad young man, he knew his son's background. Based on his son's experience, he was certain the purple-clad young man either had an extraordinary background or was deliberately mystifying things. As the clan leader of the Lu clan, he did not dare to take the risk. For this reason, he would rather believe the purple-clad young man had an extraordinary background. He had come alone because he wanted to take out some prominent celestial stones to settle the matter with his son. Although he could use force, he could still do it. However, he did not dare to take the risk. 100,000 prominent celestial stones. If clan leader Lu can give me 100,000 prominent celestial stones, I'll spare your life. I can consider sparing his life. Duan Lingtian said indifferently as he looked at Lu Zuolin. 100,000 prominent celestial stones. Duan Lingtian had quoted the prominent celestial stones in the spatial ring of Zhou Tong, a great overarching golden celestial, the former revered elder of the county governor's estate in 9 Spectres County. There were more than 50,000 prominent celestial stones in Zhou Tong's spatial ring. 100,000 prominent celestial stones? Lu Zuolin was shocked when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Lu Dongping's expression changed drastically as well. "Sir." No matter what, Lu Dongping was the clan leader of the Lu clan, one of the 5 major clans in 9 Spectres County. Although he was not arrogant, he still had his pride. When he heard Duan Lingtian's exorbitant demand, he could no longer suppress his anger. "You're exorbitant." Lu Dongping glared at Duan Lingtian and said in a deep voice, 2,000 prominent celestial stones. I can only give you 2,000 prominent celestial stones at most. If you're unwilling. Lu Dongping paused for a moment and didn't continue. Chapter 2665. 100,000 prominent celestial stones. Lu Dongping, the clan leader of the Lu clan, did not have that many prominent celestial stones. Even the entire Lu clan would not be able to take out so many prominent celestial stones at once, unless they sold some of their profitable properties. However, was that even possible? If I'm unwilling, what are you going to do? Duan Lingtian asked with a faint smile on his face when he heard Lu Dongping's words and saw the threatening look in Lu Dongping's eyes. Although Duan Lingtian was smiling, Lu Dongping could not help but feel goosebumps rising on his skin when he saw the smile on Duan Lingtian's face. He felt that the purple-clad young man was not simple at all. Sir, 3,000 prominent celestial stones. 3,000 prominent celestial stones are all the prominent celestial stones I can give you. I don't have any more than that. The more Lu Dongping thought about it, the more he felt Duan Lingtian was not simple. Since you have no other choice, I'll have to take your son's life. Duan Lingtian said indifferently. As soon as he finished speaking, he looked at Lu Zuolin with killing intent flashing in his eyes. Father! Lu Zuolin's expression changed drastically when he saw Duan Lingtian looking at him with killing intent. He hastily retreated behind Lu Dongping as though he was grasping at straws. Father, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Sir, don't be so shameless. Although he was greatly disappointed by his son's performance, Duan Lingtian was his son after all. Moreover, Duan Lingtian was his only son, so Lu Dongping wouldn't want anything to happen to his son no matter what. He glared angrily at Duan Lingtian and abruptly shouted out coldly. Don't be so shameless? Duan Lingtian smiled. His smile was extremely brilliant. After laughing for a while, Duan Lingtian withdrew his smile, and a murderous expression appeared on his face. Patriarch Lu, if you don't want to get yourself and the Lu clan into trouble, I advise you to hand him over and not interfere in the enmity between me and him. Humph! Lu Dongping snorted coldly. Then he raised his hand and took out many jade slips. He infused them with his celestial origin energy and dispersed them in all directions. Immortal Message Talisman? Although the Duan Lingtian could easily block all of Lu Dongping's immortal message talismans, he did not do so because he felt that there was no need. Patriarch Lu, you want to drag your Lu clan down with your son. Duan Lingtian took a deep look at Lu Dongping and said, I thought that Patriarch Lu was a smart man. Now it seems that you're just a boorish man who protects his own. If I were you, I'd leave immediately and not stay here to argue. When the experts of my Lu clan arrive, you won't be able to leave even if you want to. Lu Dongping said coldly as killing intent flashed in his eyes. Although he was the head of the Lu clan, his strength was not the strongest in the Lu clan. In the Lu clan, there were 3 supreme elders who were stronger than him. One of the supreme elders was an inner court elder of the county governor's mansion in the 9 Spectres County. He was so strong that he was ranked 3rd among all the inner court elders in the county governor's mansion. He was only 2nd to the 2 supreme elders. Since Patriarch Lu is so confident in your Lu clan, I'd like to see what tricks you have up your sleeves to prevent me from leaving the Lu clan. Upon hearing Lu Dongping's words, Duan Lingtian smiled even more brightly. It was as though he had completely ignored the killing intent in Lu Dongping's eyes. Although the time they had to wait was very short, it felt like years to Lu Dongping and his son. You unfilial son. Who did you offend? Lu Dongping asked Lu Zuolin through voice transmission. His voice was filled with anger. Father, I don't know who he is as well. Lu Zuolin replied with a bitter smile. Lu Zuolin's eyes flashed as though he had thought of something. He said, why don't I tell mother about this as well? Although the Pang clan is weak now, the old ancestor of the Pang clan is still the strongest person below the great overarching golden celestial in the 9 Spectres County. Moreover, he's also Mother's uncle. He dotes on her and treats her like his own daughter. If Mother asks him to help, I don't think he'll refuse, right? Lu Zuolin's eyes lit up when he spoke. It was as though he had found a way to save his life. Let's tell her. I hope the old ancestor from the Pang clan is willing to help. If he makes a move, to a certain extent, he can even represent the county governor's mansion to pressure this unknown brat. Lu Dongping said through voice transmission. When he looked at Duan Lingtian again, the fear in his eyes had lessened. Upon hearing Lu Dongping's words, Lu Zuolin raised his hand and shot out a communications celestial talisman as well. Duan Lingtian did not stop Lu Zuolin's communications celestial talisman. From the beginning until the end, he looked on coldly. It did not matter who the Lu father and son were looking for. He was not afraid at all. After a dozen breaths of time, swoosh, 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 accompanied by the swift sound of wind whistling, numerous figures were flying over from various directions around the Lu clan's main hall. In the blink of an eye, they had already arrived near the Lu clan's main hall and appeared beside the Lu clan's clan head, Lu Dongping. There were old men, middle-aged men, and young men among the people who had arrived. However, all of them were golden celestials or stronger. Clan leader, what's going on? Clan leader, who dares to cause trouble in our Lu clan? Although many of them were still questioning Lu Dongping, most of their gazes had already landed on Duan Lingtian. They stared at the Duan Lingtian with unfriendly gazes, as if they were looking at the Duan Lingtian as an enemy who had killed their son and stolen their wife. This is the person who not only killed Elder Lu Li, but also chased my son to the Lu clan's residence. Lu Dongping looked at Duan Lingtian and said in a deep voice, Elder Lu Li was killed by him? Damn it. Kid, don't even think about leaving our Lu clan alive today. You must pay with your life for killing members of my Lu family. The group of people who had arrived were all elders of the Lu clan. They were all glaring at Duan Lingtian with righteous indignation, but none of them made a move. They are not stupid people. Since the person before them was able to survive until now, it meant that their Lu clan's patriarch, Lu Dongping, might not be able to do anything to the person before them. Moreover, it was naturally impossible for them, whose strength was inferior to Lu Pingdong, to take the initiative to charge forward, as that would be no different than courting death. In their opinion, if the Lu clan's patriarch, Lu Dongping, had the ability to kill Duan Lingtian, he would not have allowed Duan Lingtian to survive until now. Bush, bush. Another 2 swift wind howls were heard. It was a white-haired old man and a middle-aged man with a medium build who rushed over from 2 different directions. In the blink of an eye, they had already arrived in the sky above the Lu clan's great hall. Supreme Elder. Greetings, Supreme Elder. Lu Dongping, the Lu clan's patriarch, led the Lu clan's patriarch, Lu Dongping and Lu Zuolin. Dongping, what's the matter? The white-haired old man, who was dressed in a long gray robe, looked at Lu Dongping and asked, Second uncle. Lu Dongping replied respectfully. It's like this. Following that, Lu Dongping recounted everything that had happened. He did not dare to conceal anything. At the same time, the members of the Lu clan who were present also knew that this was caused by Lu Dongping's only son, Lu Zuolin. Moreover, Lu Zuolin was to blame for this. All of them looked at Lu Zuolin with hostility in their eyes before they shifted their gazes away. I'm afraid this purple-clad young man has an extraordinary background. If he doesn't have an extraordinary background, how could he have the confidence to stand here and wait for us to arrive? Now, even if the 2 Grand Supreme Elders came, I don't see him showing any signs of panic. Don't tell me he's not afraid of the 2 Supreme Elders? When the group of Lu clan's elders looked at Duan Lingtian again, the dread in their eyes deepened. Humph. The middle-aged Supreme Elder glanced at Duan Lingtian coldly before he snorted and said, I don't care who you are or where you're from. As the saying goes, a powerful dragon can't defeat a snake in its old haunts. This is the county city of 9 Spectres County. If you know what's good for you, leave now. What if I don't know what's good for me? Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes and looked at the Supreme Elder in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. Don't know what's good for you? Then don't even think about leaving today. The expression of the Lu clan Supreme Elder sank, and killing intent shot out from his eyes. When he looked at Duan Lingtian again, it was as if he was looking at a dead man. Apart from being the Supreme Elder of the Lu clan, he was also a primitive celestial alchemist. Usually, even Tian Jiyu, the county governor of Nine Spectres County, would have to address him as Celestial Alchemist Lu. After all, a primitive celestial alchemist could choose to perish together with a great overarching golden celestial. If a primitive celestial fire was ignited by a primitive celestial alchemist, a great overarching golden celestial like Tianji would die with the primitive celestial alchemist. For this reason, a primitive celestial alchemist like him was extremely arrogant. Is that so? As soon as the Supreme Elder finished speaking, Duan Lingtian's eyes turned cold as killing intent surged out of his body. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. In the next moment, thousands of sword rays rose from Duan Lingtian's body and transformed into a sword formation that swept toward the Supreme Elder of Lu clan. Even if Duan Lingtian did not use the Devata artifact, the Seven Orifices exquisite sword, his attacks were still as swift as lightning. Those below the great overarching golden celestial stage would not be able to withstand his attacks. Spurt, spurt, spurt. Chapter 2666. The primitive celestial alchemist from the Lu clan did not expect Duan Lingtian would suddenly attack him. Moreover, Duan Lingtian's speed was so fast that he did not even have time to react. Otherwise, he would not have died so quickly even if he was no match for Duan Lingtian. When Duan Lingtian killed the Supreme Elder of the Lu clan who looked like a middle-aged man, he discovered something. The gray flame in the defective metal piece on the side of Duan Lingtian's soul suddenly surged out. Not only did the gray flame leave the defective metal piece, but it also transformed into a gray streak of light that was difficult to catch with the naked eye before it shot out of Duan Lingtian's soul and entered the Supreme Elder of the Lu clan. What is it trying to do? Out of curiosity, Duan Lingtian used his divine consciousness to track the gray streak of light. In the next moment he saw the gray streak of light. After the gray flame that came out of the damaged piece of metal entered the body of the middle-aged man, it devoured a wisp of light blue flame in the body of the Lu family's Grand Elder, making it a part of itself. Before the gray flame devoured the wisp of light blue flame, Duan Lingtian could see the wisp of light blue flame was about to dissipate. Is that a celestial fire? Could it be that the Supreme Elder of the Lu clan that I killed was the primitive celestial alchemist from the Lu clan? At this moment, Duan Lingtian finally realized what was going on. Duan Lingtian could not help but feel a sense of lingering fear. Once a primitive celestial alchemist detonated his celestial fire, even a great overarching golden celestial would die if he was so close to him. It's a good thing I killed him with just one strike. If he had time to react, I would have died with him. Duan Lingtian rejoiced inwardly. While he was rejoicing, Duan Lingtian discovered that the gray streak of light had disappeared. After devouring the immortal fire in the middle-aged man's body, the gray flame that leaped out of the incomplete piece of metal returned to its own body and returned to the incomplete piece of metal. What's going on? Logically speaking, once a celestial alchemist is killed, the celestial fire in his body should dissipate on its own. However, the celestial fire in my body seemed to have devoured it. I've never heard of a celestial fire devouring another person's celestial fire. It was precisely because he had never heard of it that Duan Lingtian was puzzled. He had no idea what had just happened, and he had no idea why the gray immortal fire in his body could devour other people's immortal fire. At this moment, Duan Lingtian did not expect this at all. The gray flame in his body was not an immortal fire, but a divine fire that was above immortal fire. Moreover, it was the most powerful divine fire in the world, the primal chaos divine fire. Of course, although the primal chaos divine flame in his body was the primal chaos divine flame, it was only the second form. Compared to the perfect form, the ninth form of the primal chaos divine flame, It was simply not on the same level. Even so, the chaos divine flame in its second form was comparable to a mediocre celestial fire. This. Han Lington was still shocked by the gray immortal fire in his body when a series of gasps rang in his ears. When the members of the Lu clan saw their supreme elder, a primitive celestial alchemist, being killed, they gasped when they regained their senses. Elder Lu Qing, he died just like that? Apart from being a primitive celestial alchemist, Elder Lu Qing was also an indigo sun golden celestial like the clan leader. He was even stronger than the clan leader. However, he was killed by this purple-clad young man with just a strike? Even if the purple-clad young man launched a sneak attack, his strength is at least at the violet sun-golden celestial level. Even in the Lu clan, there are only 2 violet sun-golden celestials. The elders of the Lu clan were shocked by the death of their primitive celestial alchemist. Their eyes were filled with fear and dread when they looked at Duan Ling Tian again. He killed Elder Lu Qing? Lu Zuolin looked at Duan Ling Tian in disbelief. He did not expect the purple-clad young man who had followed him back to the Lu clan was capable of killing Lu Qing, the supreme elder of the Lu clan. After all, apart from being a primitive celestial alchemist, Elder Lu Qing was also an indigo sun golden celestial who was even stronger than his father. The fact that he killed Elder Lu Qing so easily means he's at least a violet sun golden celestial. How's this possible? He's not even 100 years old. Lu Zuolin still remembered the words of Elder Lu Li, who had been by his side before. A violet sun golden celestial who was not even 100 years old? He could not believe such a person existed in a place like the Nine Spectres County. How dare you kill Elder Lu Qing? Lu Dongping, the clan leader of the Lu clan, pointed at Duan Ling Tian when he regained his senses. His body trembled violently from anger. Lu Qing was irreplaceable in the Lu clan. After all, Lu Qing was a primitive celestial alchemist. Moreover, he was one of the 3 primitive celestial alchemists in the Nine Spectres County. Lu Qing's death was a devastating blow to the Lu clan's medicinal pills industry. Who the hell are you? The other supreme elder of the Lu clan, the gray-robed old man with white hair and a ruddy complexion, looked at Duan Ling Tian warily. He no longer dared to underestimate Duan Ling Tian. Who dares to cause trouble in the Lu clan? Before Duan Ling Tian could respond to the Lu clan's supreme elder, a loud and vigorous voice exploded like a clap of thunder from afar. It spread far into the Lu clan's estate and, as expected, alerted everyone in the Lu clan. This voice. It sounds like Elder Lu Qian. Isn't Elder Lu Qian usually in the county governor's estate? Why did he suddenly return? Based on Elder Lu Qian's tone, it seems like someone dares to cause trouble in the Lu clan? Who dares to cause trouble in the Lu clan? Why would Elder Lu Qian come back to support the Lu clan? Lu Qian was one of the 3 supreme elders of the Lu clan. He was also the strongest supreme elder. He usually stayed in the county governor's estate in the Nine Spectres County. He was also an inner court elder. Among the inner court elders in the county governor's estate, his strength was second only to 2 people. It's Elder Lu Qian. Elder Lu Qian is back. The eyes of the Lu clan's elders lit up when they heard Lu Qian's voice. Second uncle. Lu Zuolin's eyes lit up as well. Lu Qian was his father's younger brother and also his uncle. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew past in front of everyone's eyes, and a tall figure clearly appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The figure belonged to a middle-aged man dressed in a light green robe. He had a square face, thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a stocky build. He looked very boorish, but his eyes shone with wisdom. It was a stark contrast to his boorish appearance. Elder Lu Qian. Greetings, Elder Lu Qian. After the green-clad middle-aged man appeared, the Lu clan's elders bowed respectfully at him. Second uncle. Lu Zuolin was excited. Second brother, you're finally back. Lu Dongping sighed. HM? The green-robed middle-aged man, who was also the Lu clan's supreme elder and the inner mansion elder of the county governor's estate, Lu Qian, inadvertently looked at the corpse that was riddled with holes and lying on the roof of the Lu clan's audience hall. His eyes widened immediately. Lu Qing? After a while, Lu Qiankai came back to his senses in shock, and his face became extremely ugly in an instant. Lu Qing was a primitive celestial alchemist in the Lu clan. Lu Qing was also his childhood friend. They had a good relationship. In fact, Lu Qing was very close to him. A large part of the reason why Lu Qian was able to possess the strength he had today was because of Lu Qing. It was Lu Qing who did her best to provide him with bottle after bottle of pills, which allowed him to avoid many detours in his cultivation. For this reason, Lu Qing's position in his heart was even higher than his elder brother, Lu Dongping, the current clan leader of the Lu clan. Who did this? Lu Qian roared in anger. At the same time, he began to scan his surroundings before his gaze finally landed on Duan Lingtian. This was because Duan Lingtian was the only unfamiliar face among the people present on the scene. It's you? Lu Qian glared at Duan Lingtian. His gaze was as sharp as a blade. It was as though he wanted to tear Duan Lingtian into pieces. However, Duan Lingtian ignored Lu Qian's question. While Lu Qian was questioning Duan Lingtian seemed to have noticed something as he looked to the east. Over there, two figures were walking through the air and coming over. One of them was a woman. Her face was filled with anxiety, and it could be seen that she was burning with impatience. The other person was an old man who was not very tall but had a strong build. The old man was dressed in a green robe. He had a head of golden hair, a curly beard, and a pair of tiger-like eyebrows. He gave off an oppressive aura. It was also like a tiger, the king of beasts, patrolling its territory. Are you all right? The middle-aged woman cried out as soon as she arrived near the Lu clan's main hall. Mother, I'm fine. Upon hearing the voice and seeing the middle-aged woman, Lu Zuolin waved his hand excitedly. After a while, the middle-aged woman and the old man arrived at the Lu clan's main hall. The middle-aged woman came to Lu Zuolin's side and sized him up. She sighed in relief when she was certain Lu Zuolin was fine. Lin, who tried to kill you? Chapter 2667. Mother, it's him. Lu Zuolin immediately turned to look at Duan Lingtian when he heard the woman's question. His eyes gleamed fiercely like a docile puppy that had suddenly turned into a mad dog. He could not wait to pounce on Duan Lingtian and bite him. The woman was Lu Zuolin's mother, Pang Yuan. When she heard her son's words, she immediately looked at Duan Lingtian with a murderous gleam in her eyes. Uncle. When Pang Yuan saw the old man who came with her, the anger on her face was replaced by a pitiful expression. Elder Pang Bing. When Pang Yuan looked at the old man, Lu Qian also glanced at the old man and greeted him. This old man was the leader of the inner mansion elders in the county governor's estate. He was widely acknowledged as the strongest person below the great overarching golden celestial in Nine Spectres County. Among the inner mansion elders in Nine Spectres County, only this old man and Zheng Qiu were stronger than him. Lu Qian was not surprised by the appearance of the old man since he knew his sister-in-law, Pang Yuan, was Pang Bing's niece. Brat, you're the one who wants to kill my grandnephew? Although Pang Bing looked at Duan Lingtian calmly, a hint of killing intent could be seen in the depths of his eyes. Elder Pang Bing. Duan Lingtian glanced at Pang Bing indifferently and said, I advise you not to interfere in this matter. Otherwise, the Pang clan will be dragged into this as well. Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed fiercely as though he was about to devour Pang Bing. When Duan Lingtian heard Lu Qian addressing the old man as Elder Pang Bing, he knew who the old man was. The leader of the inner mansion elders in the county governor's estate in Nine Spectres County, Pang Bing. This Pang Bing's strength was even stronger than the elder Zheng Qiu that he knew. Moreover, Pang Bing was widely acknowledged as the strongest person below the great overarching golden celestial in Nine Spectres County. How boastful! As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, Pang Bing was first startled, and then he flew into a rage. His face flushed red, and he seemed to have turned into an angry tiger, glaring at Duan Lingtian. A powerful aura rose from his body and swept towards Duan Lingtian. Who are you? Lu Qian, the supreme elder of the Lu clan, who was also an inner estate elder of the county governor's estate in Nine Spectres County like Pang Bing, asked Duan Ling Tian in a deep voice. Pang Bing was glaring at Duan Ling Tian fiercely. Earlier, he had already sent a voice transmission to his brother, Lu Dongping, the clan leader of the Lu clan, to understand the ins and outs of the matter. He knew this person had killed his good friend, Lu Qing, the supreme elder of the Lu clan and a primitive celestial alchemist, in just a blink of an eye. Lu Qing, until his death, did not react. Now, he could almost be sure that this was the case. The purple-clad young man was at least a violet sun-golden celestial. It doesn't matter who I am, Duan Lingtian said indifferently, as long as the Lu clan executes Lu Zuolin and gives me 100,000 prominent celestial stones, I'll let bygones be bygones. I believe you're a smart person, Elder Lu Qian. Duan Lingtian looked at Lu Qian meaningfully when he reached the end of his sentence. The moment Duan Lingtian's words left his mouth, the entire place fell silent again. The people from the Lu clan, in particular, had an expression of disbelief on their faces when they looked at Duan Lingtian. This person? How boastful! Not only does he want the Lu clan to execute young Master Lin, but he also wants us to give him 100,000 prominent celestial stones? 100,000 prominent celestial stones. Even with the amount of celestial stones in the Lu clan's account, it's impossible for us to gather so many prominent celestial stones, right? If the Lu clan really wants to gather so many prominent celestial stones, it's still possible. However, we'll have to sell some of our assets. Who the hell is he? Elder Lu Qian and Elder Pang Bing, the inner court elders of the county governor's estate, are here, and yet, he's still blackmailing us. Is he not afraid of the county governor's estate in the Nine Spectres County? The group of people from the Lu family could not understand where the purple-clothed young man in front of them got his confidence from. Under such circumstances, he still dared to blackmail and extort the Lu family. You? Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Lu Qian was so enraged that he felt as though his lungs were about to explode. His aura surged as his celestial origin energy surged out of his body and transformed into scorching flames that shrouded his entire body. His cries rang in the air. Elder Pang Bing. Pang Bing was shocked by Duan Lingtian's words when Duan Lingtian glanced at him indifferently and said, "If you really want to interfere in this matter, sure. However, if you do, the Pang clan will have to pay 100,000 prominent celestial stones if you want to settle this peacefully." Elder Pang Bing, you better think this through. Duan Lingtian looked at Pang Bing meaningfully when he finished speaking. Who are you? Pang Bing calmed down when he saw Duan Lingtian daring to threaten him. However, his eyes were still filled with suspicion when he looked at Duan Linggen. Compared to you, Elder Pang Bing, I'm just a nobody. Duan Lingtian smiled faintly. He no longer looked at Pang Bing. Instead, he shifted his gaze to Lu Zuolin and said with a grin, Lu Zuolin, do you think you'll be able to keep your life with Elder Pang Bing and Elder Lu Qian around? Lu Zuolin's expression darkened, and his eyes flashed with uncertainty. He did not expect the purple-clad young man would still be so calm at this moment. Could it be that the purple-clad young man had a powerful background? Uncle, this brat must be bluffing. He's trying to scare you. Pang Yuan, who was standing next to Lu Zuolin, glared at Duan Lingtian before she turned to look at Pang Bing. That's not impossible. Pang Bing nodded nonchalantly when he heard Pang Yuan's words. Then he looked at Duan Lingtian and said, however, the Lu clan is the master of this matter. If the Lu clan can resolve this matter, there's no need for me to meddle in this matter. Pang Bing made his stance clear after he finished speaking. He would not act rashly before the Lu clan made a move. As expected, the older the ginger, the spicier it is. Duan Lingtian sighed inwardly as soon as Pang Bing finished speaking. It was not difficult for him to guess Pang Bing's thoughts. He wanted to see if the Lu clan could deal with him. After all, Lu Qian, who was not much weaker than him, had returned. If Lu Qian could deal with him, Pang Bing would not have to make a move as well. If Lu Qian could not deal with him, Pang Bing knew he might not be able to do the same. At that time, Pang Bing could retreat in the face of difficulties. That way, he would not offend him and drag the Pang clan down with him. Facing Pang Bing's attitude, Pang Yuan still wanted to say something, but when she saw Pang Bing shaking his head at her, she didn't say anything else. However, her gaze turned colder as she looked at Duan Lingtian. After all, Duan Lingtian wanted her son's life. She did not care why Duan Lingtian wanted her son's life. In her opinion, her son's life was the most important. Nobody's life was more important than her son's life. As long as her son was alive, she did not care even if millions of people died. Good. Very good. Lu Qian's cold gaze was fixed on Duan Lingtian as he said in a deep voice, "Since you're so confident, let me, Lu Qian, experience your strength. I only hope your strength matches your confidence." As soon as Lu Qian finished speaking, he made his move under everyone's watchful eyes. Buzz, 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 buzz. As soon as Lu Qian made his move, he took out his celestial weapon. It was a short sword that was as thin as a cicada's wing. Bush, 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 bush. Then, under the watchful eyes of the others, Lu Qian seemed to have transformed into a gust of wind as he charged toward Duan Lingtian. The sword raised in his hand emitted a series of ear-piercing and short-lived sword cries as they shot out. All of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. Lu Qian's celestial origin energy surged like a flame before it transformed into a human-shaped giant beast that was more than 100 meters tall. When the giant beast charged out with Lu Qian, it created an earth-shattering commotion. Just when Duan Lingtian thought this was the extent of Lu Qian's strength, a shocking scene unfolded in front of him. Lu Qian, who was sprinting forward, along with the afterimages of the immortal sword in his hand, actually merged with the giant humanoid beast in a flash. In the end, the gigantic humanoid beast disappeared. After that, Lu Qian's body began to swell out of control. In just a blink of an eye, Lu Qian, who was originally only 1.8 meters tall, grew to a height of more than 30 meters. His aura was so domineering that it blotted out the sun. It's not an illusion. His body seems to have really grown bigger. When Duan Lingtian extended his divine consciousness, it was not difficult for him to discover that Lu Qian's body seemed to have grown bigger. Naturally, Duan Lingtian knew that Lu Qian's body seemed to have grown bigger. This was very similar to a real increase in size, but it was impossible for it to be a real increase in size. What a brilliant technique! Duan Lingtian knew Lu Qian must have cast some celestial method or divine ability to make Lu Qian grow bigger. It was as though Duan Lingtian, his opponent, was an insignificant ant in Lu Qian's eyes. Elder Lu Qian is using the 100 feet golden body? The 100 feet golden body is a primitive assist-type celestial method that's extremely difficult to cultivate. Once it's cultivated, it'll allow the cultivator's body to swell until it's 10 times bigger. Chapter 2668. So, it's an assist-type primitive celestial method. Duan Lingtian finally understood the situation when he heard the discussion between the Lu clan's elders. Die, brat! At the same time, Lu Qian, who had transformed into a 30-meter-tall Lu Qian, suddenly let out an earth-shattering roar. In an instant, a terrifying sound wave was emitted from his mouth. Like ripples, it tore through the sky and engulfed everyone present. In just a blink of an eye, the sound wave shattered the eardrums of some of the weaker members of the Lu clan, causing them to bleed from their 7 orifices. Boom! Rumble! As soon as Lu Qian finished speaking, he moved his hands and slammed them toward Duan Lingtian. It was as though he was trying to kill Duan Lingtian as though he was swatting a mosquito. Swoosh! 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 Duan Lingtian was about to dodge when he discovered dazzling sword rays were flying toward him like a swarm of locusts. They sealed all his paths of escape and left him with nowhere to run. Boom! Rumble! At the same time, Lu Qian's palms were getting closer and closer to Duan Lingtian. It seemed like it would not take long for his palms to land on Duan Lingtian and crush Duan Lingtian as though he was swatting a mosquito. Elder Lu Qian is going all out. It seems like he doesn't dare to underestimate this purple-clad young man. Of course. After all, this purple-clad young man killed Elder Lu Qing with just a blow. Although Elder Lu Qing isn't a violet sun golden celestial, He's still one of the strongest indigo sun golden celestials. Elder Lu Qian is indeed one of the strongest violet sun golden celestials. Even an ordinary violet sun golden celestial wouldn't dare to fight him head-on. Even if that brat is a violet sun golden celestial, he'll suffer from this. Even if he doesn't die, he'll be severely injured. In the blink of an eye, the elders of the Lu clan quickly communicated with each other. However, their gazes never left Duan Lingtian and Lu Qian, as if they were deeply afraid of missing the slightest detail. If you want me to die, let's see if you, Lu Qian, have the ability. Just as Lu Qian's palms were about to come together, Duan Lingtian opened his mouth again. His clear and cold voice rang out and instantly entered the ears of everyone in the air above the Lu clan's great hall. Even as the news continued to spread, the people of the Lu clan who were close to the Lu clan's main hall also heard it clearly. Bush, 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 bush. Under the gazes of the crowd, at the center area where Lu Qian's palms were clasped together, the place where the sword rays were imprisoned, suddenly lit up with a light that was as bright as day. Upon closer inspection, it was actually sword rays that were even more resplendent than Lu Qian's sword rays. The moment these sword glows appeared, they caused Lu Qian's sword glows to pale in comparison. It was like a white crane appearing in a flock of chickens. A crane in a flock of chickens. Bush, 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 bush. As the white light soared, it was as if a white sun was blooming brilliantly, causing everyone present to squint their eyes instinctively. They could only see the white light through the slits of their eyes. Within the white light, there was also a series of earth-shattering sword whistling sounds mixed in. Before the crowd could clearly see what was happening, a shrill scream had already clearly entered everyone's ears. It was like a thunderclap reverberating in their ears. That's Lu Qian's voice. Pang Bing's expression changed drastically. At the same time, a hint of relief involuntarily flashed in the depths of his eyes. He was glad that he did not make the first move. While he was rejoicing, Pang Bing's eyes narrowed as he observed everything before him. He saw that as the white light soared, tens of thousands of blazing sword rays whistled through the air. Lu Qian, who was about 30 meters tall, had his arms directly crushed. His huge body was also sent flying in an instant. He was in an extremely sorry state. When Lu Qian stopped moving in the distance, the rest of the people also regained their senses. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Lu Qian had returned to his normal height. However, his arms were no longer there. Lu Qian's face was as pale as a sheet of paper, and the corner of his mouth was stained with blood. A celestial sword that was as thin as a cicada's wing hovered by his side. Whether it was Lu Qian or his celestial weapon, they were like arrows at the end of their flight at this moment. If you're from Nine Spectres County, you're definitely not a nobody. Your strength is very close to that of a great overarching golden celestial. No one below the great overarching golden celestial is a match for you. Although their battle had only been brief, Lu Qian was keenly aware of this. The purple-clad young man's strength was even stronger than Pang Bing, who was widely acknowledged as the strongest person below the great overarching golden celestial in Nine Spectres County. As soon as Lu Qian finished speaking, everyone's eyes shifted to Pang Bing in unison. After all, Pang Bing was widely acknowledged as the strongest person below the great overarching golden celestial in Nine Spectres County. Lu Qian's words were no different from belittling him and praising the purple-clad young man. I am not as good as him. Facing the gazes of the crowd, Pang Bing let out a sigh. When he Duan Lingtian again, his eyes were filled with fear. No. Impossible. How is this possible? Lu Zuolin, who was originally full of confidence in Lu Qian, couldn't help but turn ashen when he saw Lu Qian lose and Pang Bing admit his inferiority. Beside Lu Zuolin, Pang Yuan's face turned ugly. She naturally knew what this meant. This meant that the reinforcements that she had brought over, as well as the reinforcements from the Lu family, were no match for this purple-clothed youth who wanted to kill her son. First uncle, second brother. Quickly inform the county governor. Quickly inform the county governor. Pang Yuan hurriedly reminded Pang Bing and Lu Qian to inform Tian Jiyu, the county governor of Nine Spectres County. In her opinion, the county governor of 9 Spectres County was a great overarching golden celestial. If a great overarching golden celestial made a move, even if the purple-clad young man was unrivaled, he would still die in front of a great overarching golden celestial. The difference between a great overarching golden celestial and an ordinary golden celestial was like an insurmountable chasm. Do you want to know who I am? Take your time to guess on your way to hell. Duan Lingtian's indifferent voice rang in the air when Pang Yuan reminded Pang Bing and Lu Qian. His voice overpowered Pang Yuan's voice, causing everyone's hearts to skip a beat. This purple-clad young man wants to kill Lu Qian? The same thought appeared in everyone's mind. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Under the watchful eyes of the others, a myriad of sword lights whistled out from Duan Lingtian's body before transforming into more than 10 sword formation afterimages before fusing together in the end. Only one sword formation that shone brightly and had a surging aura was left behind as it whistled towards Lu Qian. This technique? Pang Bing's eyes widened slightly. He felt as though he had heard of this technique before. You dare to kill me? If you dare to kill me, the county governor of 9 Spectres County won't let you go. Lu Qian was severely injured at this moment. His expression changed drastically when he saw Duan Lingtian's ferocious attack. He panicked and used the county governor of 9 Spectres County as a shield. He wanted to make sure Duan Lingtian would not dare to kill him. However, Duan Lingtian ignored Lu Qian's words. The dazzling sword formation pierced through the air and killed Lu Qian in just a blink of an eye. Only a spatial ring was left behind. Duan Lingtian quickly put it away. Silence. The entire place was deathly silent. You dare to kill my second brother? Lord County Governor. Lord County Governor won't let you go. The clan leader of Lu Clan, Lu Dongping, looked at Duan Lingtian thoughtfully. Until now, he was still in disbelief. He did not expect the purple-clad young man to kill his second brother. After all, his second brother was not only the supreme elder of the Lu clan, but he was also an inner elder of the county governor's estate in 9 Spectres County. He was under the protection of the county governor's estate. Second uncle? He killed my second uncle? Lu Zuolin's face was ghastly pale, and his body trembled violently from fear. Even the strongest person in the Lu clan had been killed. How could he still be alive? My words are still valid. Kill him and give me 100,000 prominent celestial stones, and we'll forget about this matter. Duan Lingtian glanced at Lu Zuolin indifferently. Didn't you say you'd spare my life if we gave you 100,000 prominent celestial stones? Why are you asking for 100,000 prominent celestial stones and killing me now? Lu Zuolin roared indignantly as he looked at Duan Lingtian. If all of you had cooperated from the beginning, I wouldn't have had to raise the price. However, all of you have wasted too much of my time. It's normal for me to raise the price. Duan Lingtian glanced at Lu Zuolin and said indifferently. You? Lu Zuolin was speechless. His face was ashen, and there was only despair in his eyes. At this time, who could save him? Who are you? How dare you kill an elder of my county governor's mansion? A moment later, while the expressions of the people from the Lu clan were uncertain, a thunderous voice that contained a terrifying penetrating force sounded from outside the Lu clan mansion. It came from the direction of the county governor's mansion. The voice was filled with anger. It's the county governor. Hearing this voice, the eyes of the Lu family's group lit up. The despair in Lu Zuolin's eyes disappeared as soon as he heard the voice. It was replaced by joy. Elder Pang Bing, in the end, you still didn't listen to my advice. Tian Jiyu, the county governor of 9 Spectres County, said coldly as he turned to look at Pang Bing. You're right, Pang Bing. Earlier, he had seen Pang Bing using a communication celestial talisman. It was obvious that Pang Bing had sent the news back to the county governor of 9 Spectres County as soon as he received the news. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.